Good afternoon, everybody. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Wareham School Committee. It is approximately 5 p.m. on October 26th. We are having an late afternoon meeting in anticipation of the town meeting being extended to Wednesday. It turned out to have concluded its business yesterday evening, so we are now under no time pressure. Hear that, committee? We're no time pressure.
I beg to differ.
It is time for public participation. We would be glad to hear from anybody who would like to speak to the committee. Seeing someone approach the mic, we are very pleased. Rocky, I know you, but why don't you introduce yourself to the people who are watching and here?
I'm Dorothy Heath. I live in Precinct 2. I have no children in the school system, but I've always had an interest in education in one way or another. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened at the town meeting last night. It was a travesty. To all the parents, relatives, neighbors, and friends of children in the Wareham school system who weren't there to vote, you bear the responsibility of what occurred, as much as if not more than those who did vote. If you want the conditions in which your children learn and are transported to school improved to proper standards, then you had better make time to make your voice and your vote heard in April and beyond. If you don't, everything will stay as it is or deteriorate. Again, I'm sorry that there weren't enough of us there to make a difference.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. Is there anybody else who would like to address the committee? Good news, Dr. Rabinovich.
Yes, thank you. I have at least two pieces of good news. The first one is that annually, after the scores for our high school students on the MCAS test, there is an award of the class of 212 who are eligible for the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship. 54 students from Wareham High School have qualified for this scholarship. That is good news, and I'm sure the high school will be getting the list of those students, as well as parents will be getting letters. So that's my first bit of good news. The second is, as you're probably aware, but when you have a school such as West Wareham Academy, you must apply for special acceptance approval status from the Department of Education, and I have a letter here from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to Bob Luzon, October 17, 2011. Approval status, full approval of publicly operated programs in Wareham, which is West Wareham Academy. So that is also good news that that program has been fully approved.
Well done, Bob. Anybody else have any good news? Rachel.
I just want to commend the drama students at the high school for a great job with their monologue. They had that not last week, the week before. And the kids did an awesome job. It was just a fun show to see, and I know they're working on 3 plays this year, so
awesome.
It's going to be a busy year for them, and they did a tremendous job. So just wanted to say congratulations to all of them for a job well done.
Thank you. Rhonda?
As everyone knows, Halloween is coming up, so I just wanted to remind parents to be safe and to remind everyone about some events that are going around town to participate. There's a lot of great events where kids can dress up, be part of it, that are safe and wonderful events to attend. First, the YMCA is having a haunted forest tomorrow. It's from, on Friday, October 28th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You don't have to worry if you don't want to go through the scary part. There's also, for younger kids, near the skate park, they're going to be having bouncy houses and a lot of events for kids. So I encourage you to show up from 6 until 8 and be part of that great event at the Y, and definitely have the kids dress up. Tomorrow there is actually a Halloween costume exchange at the 99. If you still haven't got your costume yet, at the 99 tomorrow they're doing a costume exchange from 5 until 7 o'clock, and they're looking for gently worn Halloween costumes. Will be available in the lobby, so you can drop maybe your child's costume off from last year and pick up a new one for them this year.
Do you know if they're taking donations?
I'm sure they are.
Okay, I could drop a few off, but I don't need any more.
That
Okay.
was my favorite
Yeah,
holiday.
from 5 to 7 for, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yep, thank you.
And I think the donations go to the Boys and Girls Club of Wareham. Spooky Story Time at the Spinney Memorial Library is going to be happening on October 29th from 10:30 to 12. Children and families can stop by the Spinney Library on the 29th. The family day and onset runs from 10 until 1. Other activities in town include pumpkin painting, card reading, costume parade. Just two more things. The Village PTA is doing a pancake on Sunday, October 30th. They're doing a fundraiser. A pancake breakfast is being held at the Elks, and all proceeds will benefit the Village PTA. And also on the 31st, the Onset Foursquare Church is doing a trunk or treat. We got this, some of us got this in our backpacks today, our kids' backpack today, where you go and there's going to be cars and all their trunks are going to be decorated, and also treats for the kids. Again, another opportunity to dress up and be part of that great event at the Onset Foursquare Church. And that is all I had. Thank you.
Under announcements,
Yes.
I believe I saw a sign today that, Ms. Panarisi, is it this weekend that the Christmas...
The 19th
19th
of November.
of November for the Deacon's PTA, the Christmas Bazaar, and that's on Saturday, is that correct?
Yes, and our dance is, family spaghetti dinner and dance is the 10th.
November 10th. Thank you.
And through you, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think it would, for all the schools, if we could, I mean, I kind of search on the websites and things like that to be able to get some of the events going on, but it would be great if we could actually get the information pushed here, just because these are recorded. I hope that people are at home watching it, and it's a great opportunity to get messages out about fundraising events, all different kinds of sporting events, arts events, things like that, to educate the community and also parents. So if we can somehow get that information here, but I'll keep looking around too. Thank you.
Thank you. Minutes of the meeting of October 12th. I will take a motion and then we can discuss as necessary.
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Thank you. Are there any corrections, additions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 3-0-0. School committee reports. I know the budget committee has not met yet,
We set a date, though.
but what is that date?
Well, tentatively, we're gonna do it
It's
tentative.
the
I gotta check with Kenny.
18th, Thursday morning, the 18th, which is because Mr. Gray meets with me after we share the financial information with the school committee. So that's the 17th of November. He meets with me the next morning, and I'm inviting the budget subcommittee to meet with him. And we'll lay out the budget season calendar.
So, just so everybody understands, there is a budget subcommittee that supports the superintendent in the budget process. We have invited Mr. Sam Gray, who is a member of the finance committee, to be the liaison from the finance committee, and we hope he will be able to attend not only all the meetings of the budget subcommittee, but obviously the subsequent larger meetings that we hold to make this process as transparent as possible. Yes.
Mr. Chair, just maybe for the record, this is the Superintendent's Advisory Committee on the Budget.
Did I miss?
You called it
Characterize
a
it?
subcommittee, which has other open meeting law implications.
I sit corrected, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rhonda?
No, just to, did you say Thursday, November 18th?
Yes.
The 18th is a Friday, so is it Thursday the
yeah,
17th?
It's the Thursday,
Thanks.
whatever the...
She caught that. I have it as the
Okay.
Thursday.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Did you miss the NEASC? Was it on the agenda? Or
Well,
did you put it off?
we missed it under good news. We can
Okay.
certainly come back to it because I think it's worthy of note.
I didn't know if you had a...
No, that's a
Okay.
good point, thank you. But let's finish on the committee reports.
Sure. For the Community Relations Advisory Committee, all that I can report on that is that right now, I have spoken to the superintendent, and what I've been doing is trying to get to all of the PTA meetings, at least one of them, to discuss what we're looking at when it comes to community relations. Again, we decided that having a separate meeting instead of working through the PTAs, which is a group of parents and teachers that come together to discuss different things at the school. Again, PTAs are not just about fundraising, they're much more than that. We thought that it was best to go through the PTAs to discuss what community relations needs they have, bring that back to this committee, and decide from there what the next step is. With the budget subcommittee, we haven't met since our last...
Not the budget.
Sorry.
Policy review.
The policy review committee. We haven't met since the last time I reported out on it. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, November 15th at 5:30 p.m. Again, these are meetings where community members can attend. I need to talk to Michelle about the list of policies that we're supposed to review, because I think it's a little bit heavy, only because we're re-reviewing the policy on graduation requirements, thanks to the high school to getting that information back to us. But also on the agenda is the safety policy as well as the internet policy, and I think there's one other one. So I think that we're a little heavy there, so we're going to review that before we decide exactly what the next policies are. We still need to bring the recommendations back to this committee. We'll have that ready by next school committee meeting.
And the Race to the Top Teacher Administrator Evaluation Committee has been continuing to meet. We will be meeting again shortly, I believe, early next week. And our focus right now is a workshop that we will be doing at the Massachusetts Association of School Committees and Massachusetts Association of Superintendents in Hyannis on, I believe it's November 12th, but I could be off a day or two. This will be a time for us to show the rest of the Commonwealth what we have been doing with respect to teacher evaluations and the collaborative process that has produced such good work between the association and the administration. Let's go back because Rachel reminded me that we should comment that the NEAS process was at least preliminarily successfully concluded. I think that's a fair characterization. Is that?
Yes. I think whoever the director of the group was pretty clear that they don't want us to publish or to record what was said, but from what we heard, it was definitely of a positive nature. I think the high school staff and the people that participated on the steering committee, the co-chairs, and the staff in general in all their committee meetings did an excellent job. I was very proud sitting in the audience that Sunday and watching the video that was done, as well as the presentation of strengths and weaknesses that the self-study uncovered. So the process, I think, accomplished a lot, and now we need to see what this outside group of people believe. Hopefully we will be accredited with a list of suggestions for us to work on over the next few years.
Yeah, I was there, and Rhonda was also there for part of this process. We were interviewed. I think you've characterized it well. It was a high-energy presentation, and I compliment Mr. Palladino and his staff and Ms. Freitas for all the work that they did. I would leave a lot of people out, but the bottom line is it was a team effort, as Scott said so often during this process, and it's a very good thing to go through when the people who are doing it are as constructive as they appear to be. For those people who aren't aware of it, this is basically a group of peers from all over New England who come and make suggestions for how our high school in particular can improve and get to the next level. It's intended to be very constructive, but it ultimately, hopefully, will result in us being able to say we have an accredited high school, and that is something that means a great deal to the staff, because they are the ones who have made it work, but also to the community who sends their children to be educated there. So hold off on congratulations, but we're hopeful that the process was concluded well.
Did anybody else have anything they want to say?
I just to add to the opening presentation, one of the things that we saw, I mean, we were in the audience and we felt proud, but at the very end of the presentation, after the video was done, after the student participation, which there was a lot of it, the NEAS folks actually got off their feet and gave a standing ovation to the school, which when I talked to some of them afterwards, they don't do that all the time. So, again, to the opening presentation, to really kick off the whole entire day, and I think that it was a great way to show the spirit as well as just the commitment of the administration, the staff, and the students, and how much pride Wareham really did, and how much they showed in that room. So,
The NEASC is one particular body that accredits our high school. We also go through a NIAC accreditation for our preschool and for our kindergartens. So we also go for accreditation there. We also have, coming up in February, we have a district review by the Department of Education where 5 people will be coming for 4 days to do multiple interviews. So what I'm trying to express is that the school system goes through regular quality checks to make sure that we are doing what we should be doing, and we do get these accreditations regularly without much fanfare, but it is a regular process.
Okay, I have 2 things I'd like to do under the label of Chairman's report. One is I'd like to give you my perspective on the town meeting last night. We heard from one of our citizens, Mickey Heath, and I must confess that I share some of her disappointment with the results. In many ways, I thought we fought the good fight, but it was hard to find too much to celebrate after the fight. The one thing I can say is that the town has finally made a small commitment to recognize the capital needs of the town, which means that the meals tax that was passed will now be specifically, as soon as the state legislature passes it, which we assume will occur, the meals tax, which should be about $400,000 annually, will be used for capital spending. It was the hope of the school committee and the administration that half of that would be specifically allocated to the school department. Unfortunately, that did not take place, so that we will be having to work closely with the capital planning committee to make sure that the needs of the school department are met. That will be an extremely difficult process because there are so many needs within this town. The $400,000 pales in comparison to the tens of millions of dollars that are really needed for the infrastructure and the other capital needs of this town. As an example, just to replace 5 of our buses, which is only 10% of the fleet, on an annual basis, is approximately $400,000. In essence, the entire meals tax could be literally justifiably given to the schools just to maintain a reasonably aged fleet. So at the suggestion of Rhonda, I think we need to get more actively involved in the capital planning process, and I'm going to ask the co-chairs if we can have a committee liaison so that we can make our case for the needs of the schools, since $400,000 will be on the table every April. I am not suggesting that the good fight was not fought also at the Finance Committee level as well. I think the citizens had a very difficult task, which is to say they knew that the financial reporting from the town was insufficient, and therefore they were very nervous about spending any money. But the fact remains that our school buses are unacceptably aged, and it does present a public safety, more specifically a child safety issue the older they get. And of course, we've been talking about this for a long time, and they keep getting older. The second thing I'd like to say in my role as chair is I don't think we communicate enough with parents, and I know the school committee does not communicate enough with parents. I have decided to start periodically sending a message to the parents from, in this case, myself, because as the chairman, if future chairs decide to continue this practice, that will be up to them. And I'm going to read you the first message from the chairman of the school committee. It's entitled, Partners for Success. Dear parents, you and your child's teacher are engaged in the most important task this town, state, and nation have. It's the education of its youth. Together, you will determine how much success your child has in life, whether he or she leaves your care and becomes an independent adult capable of positively contributing to our society. We also know that education is associated with good health, living longer, and perhaps the successful pursuit of dreams, passions, and happiness. The financial impact of education today means a person who doesn't graduate from high school is 3 times more likely to be unemployed. Even a high school diploma results in a job that pays far less than a person with a college degree, and an unemployment rate that is double that of those with a college degree. We all want the best for our children, and a good education is critical to achieving it. The team of parents and teachers must work well together, and your school committee wants to know when it is and when it isn't. Communicate with your child's teachers, and if your efforts to do so are not effective, make sure you take the next step and talk to the school's principal. If that doesn't help, the superintendent of schools, Dr. Barry Rabinovich, wants to know and will listen to your concerns. Finally, your school committee is committed to making sure we have done everything possible to ensure that your child's experience with Wareham Public Schools is as good as it can be. Don't hesitate to contact me if you feel your child's school is not succeeding in helping him or her become the best that she or he can be. Sincerely. I hope the message is clear. There's nothing more important than the education of Wareham's children, and it has to occur at both the home and the school. Teachers cannot do it alone, and certainly parents can't do it alone. I want that relationship to be a fabulous success, as difficult as that may be. So I hope we all, including myself, work hard to bring parents into the educational process of our children. Thank you. Dr. Rabinovich. Oh, one last thing. Would you see that this goes out to the parents?
Yes, we'll have it on the website, and I will give it to principals to include in their next newsletter.
Thank you.
First bit of news in the superintendent's report is that on October 31st, I was told that the Mass School Building Authority will be coming to tour the Minot Forest School.
What's the
And
date of
that,
that again?
October 31st. I was told 9 o'clock a.m. at Minot, and that the Senator Pacheco has been invited, as well as the Mr. Brusso, because of his relationship with Catherine Craven, who is the outgoing chairman of the Mass School Building Authority. Mrs. Siemens, myself will be there. And we hope that they will see what we see and that they will hear our need and act on our project. If they do, then in April we will be going looking for $500,000. So I'm glad that the town has identified $400,000. Tomorrow, there is a meeting at noontime with Mr. Andrews and myself and the chairman, Mr. Sweat, and the chairman of the Board of Selectmen and the chairman of the FinCom to begin discussions about the ongoing conversation of developing a plan for having buses and having newer buses than we currently have. And so the whole transportation thing will be discussed beginning with that group, and we'll move forward from there. So that's tomorrow at noon. I wanted to just let you know that we had a request for information by Andrea Smith from West Wareham. This is to request copies of all registry of motor vehicles, bus inspections for the months of August and September. We did provide that to Ms. Smith. And on Monday, November 14th, the community, administration, school committee are invited to a reception for our exchange administrator, our shadowing Chinese administrator, who will be staying with me from November 13th through the 17th. He will be in Wareham. He'll be spending 2 days at Wareham High School on Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, he will be visiting the cooperative school and then going to Upper Cape to see the vocational school. And Thursday, we will be going to West Wareham. And Friday morning, he goes back to Boston and on with his travels. But he'll be in the United States for at least 2 weeks and visiting. And what we hope to accomplish with the shadow program is that we can set up a Skyping experience between Wareham High School and the high school that this gentleman is the principal of in the Anwan province of China. And it's high school number 7. And I haven't seen it yet, so I can't tell you much about it. But
Have you Skyped with him already?
No, I haven't. No, I have to. I'm going to try to call an interpreter to make sure what his English proficiency is, because to the general public, if anybody has some Mandarin Chinese skills and would like to act as an interpreter, I am looking for an interpreter, and that would be great if somebody could give me a call. Save us a few dollars of going out and hiring somebody. But we have a global education committee and that has been working with various things with Cape Verde. This is trying to branch out from that to show our students that we have a global economy and a world out there, and that our students can compete with students across the world. And so we hope to learn about China, and the administrator coming from China is going to learn about Wareham. So
Look forward to it.
And that's all that I have at this time.
Okay. Mrs. Panarisi?
I have a couple questions.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
You can
You
come
can
up
set
while
up.
she's asking me a question.
Go ahead,
That's
Rhonda.
okay.
The Minot meeting at 9 a.m. on October 31st.
Mhm.
Can school committee members attend
It's
or?
a tour, within a small number. I think we want to make it conducive.
Okay.
And the reason that Senator Pacheco is there, because I've learned that some political pressure can make these things move rather than just the conditions of the building. And the same reason why Mr. Brusso is there, because of his influence in this particular committee that Ms. Craven sits on.
All right. So one of the suggestions at the coffee that Principal Siemens had just last week, there were many parents there. She announced that this meeting was happening. I think there was a lot of excitement in the room. And one of the suggestions was that if there's any way possible, going back to your point about communicating with parents, if there's any way possible that we can communicate this to our parents of Minot and Hammond and use them as a resource to call our representatives and state legislators to express their support for this and the need for it, I think it would go a long way. And so if we could put together some sort of communication that can go out to the parents, letting them know that this is going on and we would ask for their support, and here's how they can go about contacting Senator Pacheco or anyone else that's in a decision making.
Yeah, because that's where the contacts should be made, not to the Office of Mass School Building Authority, because that will not be helpful to our process.
Maybe we could have an Occupy Senator Pacheco's office demonstration.
Senator Pacheco has been very helpful in this process. It seems every time we've had this tour scheduled, there's either been a hurricane or a tornado on the one before that. So things have happened. You know, they tear the roof off of a school in the western part of the state. That took priority.
So now that it's happening, I think that it would go a long way, and I think it would help our cause if we took a proactive approach, put together a flyer. Remember, I'm one of the parents in the elementary school now. I get about 18 pieces of paper a day, so I know that it can be done. So putting together a flyer to then send out to all the parents saying this is exactly what you can do to help us get the school redone, I think would be great. Just one other question regarding the transportation, the meeting that's going to be happening tomorrow. Just to be clear, in addition to this group is being pulled together, in addition to talking about bus replacement and the long-term vision about that, it's also to talk about the long-term management of bus transportation. I know that there's a lot of questions about the reason why
transportation.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to be clear, it's not just about bus replacement, it's taking a look at all of transportation and discussing with an ad hoc group of different committees coming together to discuss the long-term vision.
What will be discussed will be determined by that group when it meets.
I understand. Okay.
So it's a little premature to chart the course.
All set?
Yep, I'm good.
Thank you. Now you're on.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. We've come, myself, Mrs. Miller, and myself, to request a new club at the Deacon's School.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your colleague's name.
Hi. I'm Patty Miller, and I teach 5th grade at
Great.
Deacon's School.
Thank you.
And we're here because we'd like to start a new club, one of our new clubs at the Deacon's School, and it's the Elementary Honor Society. And it's a feeder program into the Junior Honor Society and the Senior Honor Society at the high school. We felt that there was a core group of students that had kind of collaborated by themselves, unsolicited last year, and they had started their own group and requested to have their own informal reading group, which is a higher level, and we had been kind of looking towards that area to see to fill the needs of students that not only needed tutoring, but students that wanted enrichment and wanted to go further with their education and be able to do so on the Deacon's site. So this was one area that we thought that we could meet the student need, as well as doing a piece of community service with, and perhaps doing some fundraising for the local organizations that need our help. Still moving towards citizenship, but also having that piece that there is a standard of higher achievement and goal setting when it comes to academics.
You ready for questions?
Absolutely.
Rachel?
I don't really have any questions, other than how many kids are you up to at this point? I know you started out small. I know it was just a small group. Do you have a group that has discussed this, or?
We haven't gone that far
Oh,
as
okay.
yet. There's a certain criteria of an identification process that we use. And being a standards-based school, it's a little bit difficult to determine, who is the A, because a lot of the schools that are in this organization use a letter grade. So we have looked at certain records and student interests and kind of follow the guidelines that they have. We haven't really done anything as yet, but I would imagine there's probably maybe 10 right now. We are also looking at...
I'm sorry, just to be clear, 10 that you would view as eligible, is that what you're saying?
10 that have expressed interest. I'm sure that if we open the invitation to more, there would be more.
Okay, I just wasn't clear. Go ahead.
Nope, that's all.
We are partnering also with the organization, the Seaborn organization down the street. They had approached us to use our facilities, and in exchange, we asked them to partner with us on more of a STEM type of project to try to bring that scientist in for us. More of a mentoring type of situation, but when they started talking that they'd like to be more involved in the school and do more things with our school, we were like, that's fantastic. So we kind of started off very, very small, thinking that this was just going to be a small little club, and we're watching it expand, out the doors to down the street, and that's just a fantastic thing to get those guys in there.
That is great. Thank you.
Rhonda?
So just again, can you just do an overview, the requirements to be part of the group, and also what the basic...
I believe there are certain standards,
Great.
grades that have to be met.
So they're in
There are
here.
criteria,
Okay.
just as there are criteria for SES tutoring. So the criteria for this particular group would be a high academic performance.
Okay. Behavior.
Behavior has to be on the spot.
So are you going to be putting together I'm trying to ask, is it going to be, is there going to be a form, a checkoff list that these are, and communicate with the students that these are what you have to achieve to be part of it?
Oh,
and
goodness, yes.
Okay.
And it's inside, there's a form inside
Okay,
of...
sorry, I didn't,
Yeah.
most of my questions are probably answered in this document.
And we've just tried to put together a quick summary for you so you'd have some ideas. Not all the pages are here. There's a whole guideline to follow.
Mhm.
So there are like benchmarks that you should follow to have a successful program.
Mhm.
So there would be guidelines for the students that they'd have to, and for us to evaluate the students. There's a process.
And are you looking to start this year, or is this a request
Mhm.
for next year?
No,
Right
no,
away.
We're anxious to get started, actually. We already have some ideas.
Right. And the when the group will come together during the school day, afterwards? I mean,
After school.
After school? Okay.
We'd like to start off at least an hour after school, 1 day a week. And if needing, when we're doing larger projects, because one of the ideas behind it is to do community service, and you need to do at least one large project.
Nice.
So the children would have to, we'd imagine we'd need more time than the 1 hour a week for that.
And are you looking to get transportation then, late buses?
Well, we were
Or with
hoping
this?
possibly, maybe with, we
Usually
haven't gotten that
parents.
far yet, but
It-
maybe the tutoring day, or we've been
If-
talking little things.
One of the things that we wanted to do with the tutoring, if we did the clubs that we want on the same tutoring days, and then if we asked our PTA if they would help with the buses, that those buses would be able to provide transportation not only for the individual clubs, but for the SES tutoring as well. We feel as though we probably would get more of a response on our tutoring side if we were able to provide transportation for the students.
Okay. Is that transportation already built in? I think that what I'm looking for is, are there any budget implications of starting this group? Will there be any additional costs? I think that's the reason why. I mean,
There are some costs. The costs can be absorbed through PTA
Okay.
and through student activities accounts.
There is any pilot club that we accept, there is a fee that we pay to the advisor. It is nominal, I think it's $650, $700, something around that, as a first-year club. Then what happens is we look at it to see that it's been successful and how many hours and how many kids are involved. And then there's a negotiation that happens with the union about, because there are different level payments for club advisors depending on the amount of hours that the person spends with the group outside of school hours. And that's done after you've had a period of time to do this.
Okay.
So it would be, so that's the implication for the budget. What Chris has said is that if we have buses, the PTA, she's been talking to them, would probably pick up the cost of those, so that would not cost the school department any money.
Okay. I just want to be very, very clear that I am 100% in support of any club that recognizes that you want to start, that recognizes achievement. I think well done at the elementary level, and you guys are, I think this is wonderful that you're starting this. I do want us to make sure that we're looking at that, just because the budget cycle is coming up, so we have to
Right.
definitely look at that. But this is great.
Thank you.
There was another teacher too, she hasn't been sick yet. There is another teacher I wanted to say as well, Erin Higgins, but she was ill today and she did want to come, so I just wanted to say her name as well. Thank you.
Like a co-advisor kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
We figured that we could kind of bump the numbers up. We're hoping around 25 students for the first year, with the idea that there'll be many more who will want to, jump up into this.
But they have to make the standard.
There is a standard.
For instance, when we had the National Junior Honor Society here at the middle school, in 7th grade, they needed to have basically an A- average in order to qualify for the Honor Society, and then they get inducted at the end of the 7th grade so that they're in it in grade 8. So you'd have to look at like a grade 4 average to be qualified for grade 5. And it was grade 5 that you were talking about doing this with?
Right. Well, we were thinking possibly even some 4th graders too.
4th and 5th.
So say that averages to be 5 top students in each 5 of the 5 classes, and we were interested in having 4th graders. We already started asking the 4th grade teachers as well.
They have to come up with a charter. They have to spell out the guidelines in writing, the number of hours of community service and so forth, and all of that gets into the documents. But the reason for the pilot is to begin that work, and part of it is exploring it with the National Elementary Principals Association, because they have the guidelines already put together.
Just one more question. Will there be a fundraising component?
Yes, that's one of the, that is one of the things they should.
Thank you for giving me this tonight. I will go and read
Okay.
it, and then I
tried to get all the, the beef of the top information, like that is on the back, that of
Okay.
fundraising
And they suggest as one of their activities peer tutoring, which I think is, research-wise, it's proven to be very effective. So I think that would be a good thing for our kids.
Absolutely.
What's that?
Thank you very much.
I love the idea. It's very clear in talking to the parents with whom I do interact that enrichment and rigor, but
Yeah.
certainly enrichment is one of the hot buttons for them. So anything we can point to that is an enrichment activity with real substance to it, and recognition of the value of achievement is great. I do sit here wondering a little bit about how early we should be recognizing sort of standard achievement, because there could very well be some, I guess the phrase is jewels in the rough, or something that don't show up necessarily on a report card, but that still are outstanding individuals with whom we want to send a strong message that we recognize, your effort and your talent, and it may be a unique kind of talent, but I'll leave it to you educators to figure that problem out. It's a nice problem to have.
It is, and when we look at the intelligences of Howard Gardner, there are people that excel in athletics, there are people that excel in music, and there are people that excel with books. That's their deal. And they need a space at our school too. They need to be
Amen, yes.
comfortable, and they need to be recognized. So while we do have our chorus, and we do have our instruments, and we do have our band, and we have all of these clubs, we have our care program, we don't have anything formal that recognizes achievement. And I'm just a little bit afraid of that piece going away. I need to instill that in our school and make it as much a part of our school as athletics and music and all the other
Not just your school.
intelligences.
Yes.
It has to start someplace.
Absolutely, absolutely. I applaud the efforts. I thank you for being here. Is this something that needs a vote to
Yes.
approve? That's what I thought.
Approve the pilot club.
Yes. And the official name of this pilot club will be
National Junior Honor Society.
National Elementary
and
Honor Society.
National Elementary. So I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? You have your pilot for
Thank you
your
very, very
Thank
much.
you.
National
Thank
Elementary
you.
Honor
Good luck.
Society. Yes, keep us informed.
Yes.
Thank you.
You will see this.
Hoping it can expand
Yeah, absolutely.
across the board.
I think
Well,
it's...
now it becomes the Palladino
I was about to
show.
say, yes, and now it becomes the Principal Palladino and his staff show, so...
Well, we'll call students first, obviously. Stay in order here.
Senior prom.
Hi, I'm Jordan Alcalasi. I'm senior class president.
And I'm Marcus Montero, senior class vice president.
And
Welcome
we're here
to you
about
both.
Oh, thank you. And we're here about our prom proposal. We want to have our prom at LeBaron Hill Country Club on May 25th, 2012 from 6 to 11 p.m. And our proposed ticket price is $60. LeBaron Hills Country Club is in Lakeville, Mass. It's about 18 miles away. And the cost breakdown starts with a price that they give us per person, and that includes a plated dinner, a full beverage bar, a police detail, facility fees and taxes. $9 per person will be for the DJ and a photo booth we'll have, and the extra $8 is for decorations and souvenirs. And we need to put down a deposit of $1,500 to secure our date, which we have ready to go. Are there any questions?
You want approval from the school committee to secure a date? Isn't that between a boy and a... I don't know. Just kidding.
Okay.
Questions?
You did well on the price, I have to say. You've gotten a lot included on that price, so
Thank
I
you.
don't know who did your negotiations, but you did good. Is that the place on Route 79, the golf course?
I'm not sure. It's
I'm
kind
trying
of
to
in the middle
place
of
it. I'm
nowhere.
not sure which one it is.
I think
but-
that's the golf course, yes.
Is that the golf? Is that the place there?
Yeah, it's a
That's
golf
very
course.
nice there. I have no questions. Good negotiating.
I think this is just a general question, because this is now the second or third time where the proposal has been, that has come in front of us. Are there any locations in Wareham?
No.
I just wanted to ask.
There's no location in Wareham that can meet the needs of a senior class. And I think the kids did a great job finding one. Usually
Definitely.
we're in Randolph. We've been down in Falmouth, Hyannis. I'm really excited that it's only 18 miles away.
Right,
for many reasons.
And last year, wasn't it over the bridge, and wasn't there a major windstorm or something?
No, it was
Oh, it
nice
was beautiful?
out. It was beautiful.
Memorial Day weekend.
It was the traffic.
Yeah,
That's what it
which
was,
actually
because we
wasn't that-
were, right, when we were thinking that all the kids were going over, there was a mile backup all the way up to our exit. I mean, there was a 5-mile backup all the way to our
Except for
exit.
all the kids knew to go the back way.
And to
They're
go
the ones
early,
that-
probably. I have to agree. I hope the price works out for the rest of the students, but I think that being from event planning, that's a great price that you guys negotiated, so good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so I have to ask both of you individually, how much do you anticipate spending on this prom as a person, assuming you're both going?
Limo, dress, shoes, jewelry.
I want an
Don't
answer
forget
from
jewelry.
both.
Hair.
I want an answer from both the
Hair.
guy and the girl.
Nails.
Toes.
$20.
$20.
No, God, no. The ticket's not even $20.
You're under oath.
She's not spending anything. What are her parents spending?
There's the
Right?
question.
Okay, so, come on. How much?
Well, with the dress, nails, hair, limo, ticket, probably around 500. But it's senior prom, so it's okay.
It's the last hurrah.
Yeah. the last
Okay.
one.
And for me,
$100.
yeah.
You have
I
to
was
add in
gonna say 100.
the corsage, the flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I forgot the...
So about 150, 200. Not that much.
So it's a great deal for you.
Yeah.
It's always a better deal for the guy.
Maybe I'll get somebody to buy the ticket for me.
I want to remind you, because I know the next question, we do have waivers for students that can't afford it. I have a friend that owns a tuxedo shop that we usually get about 5 or 6 tuxedos for free. And also, as I think you're aware, on our second floor, we have a small closet with the help of Women Aid. We probably have 500 gowns in a closet upstairs. So I kind of think I knew where the next question was going to go. So every kid can go to this prom regardless of their socioeconomic status or the situation that they're dealing with financially. We do allow for kids that have some financial issues to still attend.
And I think that there's organizations that help with that also, some like dress swaps, or I haven't
I've got
gotten
enough-
there yet, but I know it's coming, so.
We've got enough gowns to outfit
Yep.
every single female in the high
That's
school.
great.
So it's,
Well, too, and if people have gowns tucked in their closet, make the donation.
yeah,
I have one
every
that
year
has
the old
worn.
company store does
Yeah.
does something for us with that.
Great.
I love it when someone anticipates my questions so well. I'll take a motion to approve the plans for the senior prom.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, you can have a vote this time.
Enjoy your last hurrah, though, when it comes
Thank
comes
you.
around.
Thank
Have
you.
fun.
Start.
Thank you very much.
Have you guys picked the theme yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Ms. Reyes, you're up next. On this point, yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Once again, I am here to ask for your blessing, so to say, on the trip for 2013 April vacation for our high school students, and we're also inviting some of our 8th grade students as well this year. And it'll be to Spain. We're not sure exactly which trip we're going to take. EF Tours offers 11 trips to Spain, Spain and Portugal. We did narrow it down to 2 that were more affordable for the students and within the time frame, so they would not miss school days outside of the vacation time. And we will probably have the vote on probably the second meeting. The first meeting that we will have with parents will be of interest only, to see how many students are interested in traveling with us in 2013, and then we'll have a meeting after that regarding which trip that they prefer to take.
I don't need to ask Rhonda. Are you going on this one? Do you have any questions?
I always like to hear from the academic standpoint, things that you're doing on this trip that then tie back into the classroom when the students return. Can you talk a little bit about any journals, any that will be happening with the kids that are going on this trip?
We don't have a requirement for that. They will, if any of the EF trips have been very historically and culturally tied. Every single site that we go to, we have a tour guide that gives us a history lesson and a cultural lesson as well regarding the specific sites that we'll go to. There's information that is shared with the students about architecture, history, culture. They experience the culture firsthand. We do have, there is an option to offer credit for that, but it is not a mandatory component.
Do any kids, last year, did any kids take advantage of
the credit?
Yes.
No, I had one student who was considering that initially. It is a very rigid program, I will say, very high caliber. There's a lot of requirements with it. It is an internationally accepted program in terms of the educational component, what the requirements are, and the student opted out of that. I will say, having been on 4 different trips, that the amount of information that the students will learn and bring back with them is an incredible amount. The first-hand experience is not something to be replaced by a book or an internet experience or just, second-hand information. What they will get out of the trip is really phenomenal.
How many students participated last year? And you participated last year also, correct?
Last year it was
No,
2011. Yeah, we had 24 students last time.
24.
Mm-hmm.
Were there students that wanted to go but couldn't for some reason?
I'm sure there were.
But none that you were aware of? I'm trying to
sure
understand, like, what is it mostly financial?
There are obviously financial. I mean, the cost of the trip is close to $2,000, and not every student can afford that necessarily. One of the reasons why I like to plan it out so far in advance is that it does give the students opportunity to, whether they're working part-time or saving that money for almost 2 years.
And we do allow them, we provide them with fundraising opportunities, correct? Is that I might be getting
if the students and the parents are readily able and involved to do that, we'll be open to that. But I know the first trip that we did try that, there was more work on my part than there was on the students' part, and we did not raise much money, so I have not had fundraisers over the last few years. It's not that we haven't been open to it, but it isn't something that we have done. The students were not interested.
There is a difference between, for instance, when there's a class trip, like when they went to Florida, that had a component where children did fundraising. This is an enrichment opportunity that's provided. So really it's about meeting with them and giving them the opportunity to plan ahead so that from their side jobs they can raise money.
But, like you said, it's such an amazing opportunity, especially for our students here in Wareham, to be able to get this kind of opportunity. And I look at the costs, and my aunt who worked down in Nauset, she went on their class trip every single year, and so I absolutely understand the opportunity that is available here. And so any way possible that we can continue to brainstorm to get more students this opportunity, and I know you guys are doing the best that you can, but just being able to open it up to more kids that can go would be great.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we are going to bring this to our middle school and the 8th grade, actually. So by the time we go, those students will actually be in the high school. So we'll be opening it up to a younger group of students who will actually be high school students at the time of travel.
I think that's great that you're adding that piece to it. That's all I had.
Rachel?
I agree that the fundraising is a touchy subject, because I get a lot of kids to my door, and the last thing I feel like doing is having to support other kids going on a trip. No offense, but it's kind of like...
I agree.
Yeah, you gotta, sorry, and it would not be, I look at it for my kids, and you're talking $5,000, and I'm not the kind of parent that would let them go overseas without me, so you have to add that on too, because in all honesty, I'm not a big fan of sending kids overseas. I'm not, especially in the current environment that we have in the world. It makes me nervous. I wouldn't stand in the way, because I think that's people's personal decisions, and that is my personal decision. But It's tough. I think that there's going to be a lot of kids that are turned away from the cost of it, and I don't think that we're going to try to open the door. Fundraising, I don't feel is an option in something like this. It's a little different when it's Nature's Classroom or you know, the class trip kind of thing, but for kind of an extra, it isn't something that I think we should be reaching out into the community for, looking for extra funding and so forth, but good luck in planning that. I wouldn't want to have to be part of that one. A lot of planning.
I love the fact that it's a Spanish language country, because I would love to see these trips coincide with the language skills that they're learning in our own classrooms. So it pleases me greatly that it's Spain. It would be, I suspect, thrilling for our kids to go to China, for example, someday, which means we'd have to offer Chinese. And yes, I know.
Give me the teacher.
Yeah, I know. I knew you were I can anticipate too,
We
just
know
like
each
you
other
can.
pretty well.
So if in your planning in your future trips you can think about what languages the students are studying and how the trip can support those that language education, I think that would be an added bonus. But I know there's a big plus, although I share Rachel's concerns, but life's too short to be scared all the time of what could happen, because the vast majority of the time it doesn't happen. So I wish you good luck, and I'm sure it'll be an exciting project to plan as well as to be a part of.
Absolutely.
We also need a vote on this one too, yes? Is this a...
Michelle?
Yes?
She's saying yes.
I'll take a motion to approve.
Support it.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning well ahead. Mr. Goldman, you are on. Welcome, Steve.
Good to see everybody. Thanks for having me here today.
I'm looking forward to this presentation.
I think we're manual here.
Apologize for my back.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll try to not be in the way of too many people here.
Yes.
Okay. I'm here to talk again about...
Steve, you want to put the laptop right here and you can face them?
Actually, that'd be good.
Jammed out of it.
Just get the big bucks. I'm here as a follow-up to our to the school committee meeting I attended last spring to report on where we're at with the 5-year follow-up. I do have some data. I'm disappointed that we have not had the collection that we had hoped to, but I'm going to go through the process of what we've done so far and what we continue to do to try to get more information on this. So where we started is a quick review. Mr. Palladino, Mr. Rabinovich, and I have met, and we talked about different ways of trying to go about this. And I spoke with the Alumni Association, and they admittedly said they don't have the staffing to really help us in this process. They said that they felt it was a worthy task, but they said there wasn't a lot of resources on their end. So that was ruled out. We decided not to start initially with a mailing to try to save expenses. What we did do is we created the survey, and we used through SurveyMonkey. We put it on the website. This is a little out of order. We put it on the high school website. We only got one response over a course of a few months. After further conversations, Terry DeFilippo and I talked about developing a district Facebook page, which we did, and we put it there, and we got 2 responses from that.
Just so I understand, the size of the cohort is approximately
Almost 200.
It was about 170, I think it was.
170.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we doubled our efforts, but still not good enough. So here's what we did. In the fall of 2010, we created the survey, and then in the winter, we posted the survey on the website. In the spring, we created the district Facebook. I apologize. I don't know why this bounced all over the place. We created the district Facebook page. And then in the fall, we had one of our support staff actually go down the roster and call every single student that was a member of that class. Here are our results. So we had a total of 3 online responses. Through the phone, we got 4 responses. 15 messages were left with parents, 87 no answers, 18 left voice messages, 17 wrong numbers, and 26 phone not in service.
Wow.
Yeah. At the time of graduation, these are the questions and these are the results. I'm not sure how statistically valid they are at this point, but I'll run through them for you. First question was at the time of graduation, it was your intention to. 2 people said attend a 4-year private college university. 3 said 4-year public college university. 1 said community college, and 1 said to be employed full-time. The present employment. One of the people that responded is a 911 dispatcher. 1 is an elementary school teacher. 1 is the manager of a farm, and also an EMT. 1 is a gleaner at a local food pantry, and 1 was working
You
maintenance
want to tell us
grounds.
what a gleaner is?
A collector of materials. In this case, it would be food and things
Okay.
of that sort. I had to look that up. And 1 is paraprofessional in the, I believe it's the Wareham Public Schools, and there was 1 no response to that one. Number 3, education after high school. 1 person went to Bay State College for 2 years and did not graduate. 1 went to Marquette for 4 years, got a bachelor's degree, and then 1 went to the University of Massachusetts for 2 years and did not graduate. 1 went to Ohio University for 4 years, majored in biology, and then went to Bridgewater State and got the EMT certificate. And then 1 person went to Westfield State and graduated with an elementary education degree. Are you still attending school? 0 said yes, 6 said no, and the reasons why: 1 for academic reasons, 1 for financial issues, 3 graduated, and 1 checked off other, but there was no response next to that. Do you have plans to further your education? 7 of them said yes. If yes, please explain. And they said 1 was looking at criminal justice, 1 was looking at being a paramedic, 1 an occupational therapist, and 1 a teacher. If you compared your Wareham High School academic preparation with graduates of other high schools, how would you rate yourself? I felt better prepared than others, 0 to that one. I felt somewhat better prepared than others, 1 person checked that one off. I felt equally prepared, 2 people agreed to that one. I feel that my training was slightly inferior, 3 people, and I felt no one responded to. I felt poorly prepared. Do you have any suggestions on how Wareham High School could be improved? And the comments were more focus on plans after high school, help students decide what career paths to take, less tests, more hands-on work, offer more advanced classes before senior year. Is there something you could have done to make your high school experience more successful? Should have applied for scholarships, more involvement in clubs, not just athletics, could have been more active in school activities, and studied harder. So, next steps that I'm looking at is setting up an account on the class of 2006's classmates.com site, asking them if they would kindly go to our website and fill out the survey and send it to us. I'm going to ask the same support person who made the phone calls if she could actually go onto Facebook and send a direct invitation, type in a search with the person's name, and send a direct invitation to them to fill out the survey for us. Collect college data from the National Student Clearinghouse. That is all the colleges need to report every year who's attending their schools. The only information we would get from this would be if they attended a college in the last several years, or if they are currently attending a college. It wouldn't give us any other data other than whether or not they were in a college or currently in a college. And we would be doing this through our College Access Grant. We have, in guidance, we have a woman that comes in twice a week through this grant. She's got a staff that she's training that's going to be coming in, so there might be 2 or 3 others at a time. And they have volunteered to take this task on for us to start searching that option. We still have the option of the mailing. I'm still a little skeptical of that, only because if that many people had changed phone numbers, I'm wondering how many moved out of town also. For the class of 2012 and beyond, we're hoping that we are going to be sending the survey out electronically through the Naviance program, which I am going to be demonstrating for you in a few minutes. Questions?
Rachel?
No, I'm actually not surprised at the response, to be honest. I'm really not. I would definitely hold off on a mailing, and if you can go the, whatever free route you can, like through Facebook, if if you still want to collect data, I would go that way. But I think that a mailing would probably be very disappointing. But I'm really not that surprised. Even as being on Facebook myself, I know that there's all kinds of invitations to do this, that, and the other thing, and I usually just ignore everything. So there's only so much you can do. But I don't know what, how much of a push we are to get this data. I know the person that has worked on it, and I know, she was a little frustrated in it too. But it is what it is.
I don't. The frustration is echoed because obviously there's a lot of time that's put in on this, but I want to assure you that we even with the responses, the minimal responses we received, I think it's some good feedback. So it's not something we're just going to say out of frustration we're going to drop the ball and say forget about it. I think we're going to, we have a plan moving forward, but I think there's other venues that we can probably get some more alumni to respond.
I'm sure I'll make some kids happy right now when I say less tests, more hands-on. I'm all for that myself. So
again, I think everything that's up there is valuable feedback.
Yeah. No, it is actually. It really is. I used to do the surveys over at the office, and
Yes.
we get very, very interesting replies. Not a lot of useful information. You kind of have to pick and choose. So.
Well, I'm a stubborn person, so I will continue to plug away at it. I can't promise you anything spectacular, but we will continue to work at it.
It's not an easy task. It's not an easy task at all. So, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Good luck.
So we're just concentrating right now on the 2006 class, correct? Because we're... Okay.
5 years.
5 years, okay. How are alumni events happening today? So reunions. You usually get, do you know what the standard participation rate is for, the 5-year is? And is there coming up a 5-year reunion?
I believe there is I believe it's in December. We're working with it. We used to have more involvement back when we were allowed to have the senior class leave money in an account. They had to come to us for their reunions, but I believe the state law changed, and we weren't able to. They have to basically donate their money to the school, as you may have seen in the class of 2011. So they've got we used to hold a couple $100 so we could help them with the mailings. Pretty much now everything goes through Facebook, and it's off-site, off-campus. So there's not a lot of involvement with the school, but I do know, based on I think something I saw in one of the local newspapers, that they are planning a reunion, but there's really no involvement with the school after they graduate with any of these reunion events, as there was, I don't know, Dr. Vintage, 15, 20 years ago.
I think where my shock is coming in, that there's not more coordination of this effort with the the folks that are putting on the reunion. I mean, if that effort is going on to continue to communicate, to get them involved in reunions, fundraising efforts, whatever it is, and then we're over here trying to gather information for the schools and trying to understand where our students went, how successful they've been, gather feedback from them, and those two things are going on separate. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of all kinds. So it's just, I think that's where my biggest disappointment is that these things are going on separate, and here we are having this. That's an unbelievable turnout or rate of response that we're getting there.
I think basically you're echoing Claire Smith's frustration, and she wants to get some younger blood involved in WAA, and she's working on that. As a matter of fact, I'm meeting with her on Friday. So I know that's kind of her charge as well. She'd like to see some young blood involved in the WAA. Right now, I think the average graduation year of a member of the WAA is in the 1960s and 70s. So I know
That's
she's
the
looking to
alumni
get involved.
Association, not the athletic.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only other, so there's two things. I understand, so there's, how are we going to get this class of 2006 to respond the way that we need to them, and also 2007, 2008, if we keep going 5 years back. So there has to be a lot of work going on there, and any help that I can provide to maybe create more of a bridge between, you know, that association. I mean, there has to be a coordinated effort, especially when it has to do with reunions. But for going forward, have you thought about getting some sort of group formed within the school through existing clubs or whatever it is, so then they are helping create the way that students stay connected with their school? So whether it's in the football group, that there is, you know, this charge of creating some sort of Facebook page just for them, or with the different clubs, or for the school, whatever it is, so then there is just a connection. Because I mean, students from when they graduate 5 years out, they are still thinking about their high school years. They're still coming back, they're still engaged. It's once you get beyond 5 years when you start losing touch. But that, up to those 5 years, you still have that connection with your school. So I'm wondering if there's anything that we can do more of getting existing students in the school to help out in this effort.
I mean, we're all ears, because there's a lot of man and women hours that were spent on this, so we're all ears at ways to make this more efficient, and obviously to get a better response, which is the ultimate goal. I mean, definitely we've got clubs, and that's a venue. I'm sure Stephen will look into that. But anything that you come up with, please, shoot Stephen or I an email. Any ideas, even weeks after this, because it's something we want to really build a decent database so we can have reliable data, because clearly, there's a number of students that we had respond, 6 students, it's not reliable right now.
No, not at all. Just real quick, the one other website, there's Facebook and there's also LinkedIn. Those are the two places where a lot of people are signing up, and you can find them there. LinkedIn has become very, very popular over the past year for folks that not only have a job but are also looking for a job right now.
Right, good. Thank you.
What's that?
Yes, thank you.
I understand your frustrations, and I also greatly appreciate your efforts. I think I planted this seed a year or two back. As frustrating as it is, and as much as the effort may at times seem fruitless, I don't think we have, frankly, any choice but to continue to pursue it. I'm sure that you will get better at figuring out ways to complete the task, as it's clear you already have. I share this skepticism about the mailing. Mailing is certainly not the way most young people communicate these days, and so I think it would probably be money pretty much wasted. But for us to be engaging in this incredibly important task and not to have some kind of consistent feedback about how well people are doing after they've left us is, to me, unconscionable. You just can't go about saying, oh, well, good luck. I have no idea how well I did, but good luck. So I think we have to do it, and hopefully I'll be around over future years when the data will be that much more valid. But I'm pleased to hear that even with the minimal data we've got, the comments are still interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think they'll get that much more interesting the more you get. So I applaud the effort. I thank you for the effort. And if I think of anything brilliant to add, which I'm not sure I will be sure to pass it on to you.
And our goal, as you're going to see in a minute, is that this Navion system in 5 years can take us to that next level. Maybe that might be a nice segue into Stephen's Navion's presentation.
Okay.
This is Navient, and we're still working on a few things with technology department. Terry DeFilippo has been fantastic with learning the inner workings of Navient. She's talked with people at some of the surrounding communities that are using it, their tech people, and she's really done a great job of trying to get some information here. We are almost have all the information. It doesn't mean we can start. We can start with the students, which is our goal, but she's going to continue to work on the inside stuff. I think the last piece she needs to do is just assign the counselor names, and she's trying to figure out how to do that right now. And I think we talked through email today. I think we figured out a way to do that. But we can still go forward. That's a minor piece at this point. What I have up on the screen right now is a fictitious student that I created. This is the one that we'll be using for samples with our students as we use this program, various aspects of this program with the different grade levels. So we have I'm a B student. I can't take credit for that name. That came from College Board. That's the name they use on their PSAT sample results. So
I think we should change the middle initial.
A. I like the A.
Yeah. We didn't want to discourage people that weren't straight A students. So what the page we're on right now, this is an internet-based program. So you can get this any place you have a computer and internet access. So the nice thing about it, the students don't have to do all their work at the school. If they're away at home and they have computer access, it's they can work on this at any time. The page that we're on right now, and I went in through my administrative page, but what we'll do is we'll put the link on our website, which will bring them right to the student page, and it's a welcome page, and we can actually post notes on it of important dates and things that are coming up for them, and we can do it by class. So if they're a sophomore, they wouldn't get information that seniors would be concerned with. So right now we're on the profile page, and you can see that I plugged in a few bits of information in here. What we're going to do with the students when we start the workshops with them is we're going to have them go into their profile. They're going to click Edit, and they're going to add in some information. They're going to put in an email address. If they don't have an email address, you have to have an email address to do this. If not, we will actually have them create a Google or Hotmail or Yahoo address. And they're going to have their own personal password. And they can update this information, so if they move, their phone number changes, they can go in here and they can update that information for us.
The idea that they would do this while they were still a senior.
I'm going to have a timeline by class of how we're going to implement this program. Okay. The nice thing about the parental information, which is blank on here, is the school that I was at before, we actually had the students put all that information in. Terry figured out a way to download all that stuff from PowerSchool. So that information, as long as that information is accurate, we'll have accurate information in here, and it's less time we have to spend with the students doing this type of stuff, and we can actually work on the program itself. We can tell by looking on here. Let's see, you can see the student is not yet registered. If you look over here in the red, and they have a registration code. What I'm going to be doing is generating some little cards with all the registration codes, and when I do workshops, I'll give them their card. They're going to go in, and they're going to create their own passwords and identification information, so no one can go in and mess with their stuff. Now, as a guidance counselor, I will have access. All my guidance counselors will have access to be able to go in and assist the student with things. We can see what they've been working on when they've. So if we have a student that comes in and says, "Oh yeah, I've been doing college searches. I've been working on it for a while," we can tell on here the last time they were on. How many times they've been on, and the last time they were on. And a lot of times the student's hasn't been on for 2 months, and they've only been on once, and that was the time we put them on. So it's a way of kind of keeping them motivated and going. What I'll do is if I hear of a school or a program or something that I think has something that the student has mentioned they're interested in, I'll add that to their potential college list. And it'll say added by counselor, so they know how it got in there, and then we can talk. They can start investigating schools like that. So this is just the basic info page right here. I could spend hours here, and I know you guys have other things you need to discuss, so I was going to highlight the 2 most important pieces that we're going to be starting the students on: career exploration and college searching. And I'll be happy to come back any other time if you want me to go into further detail on some of the other stuff that's here too. So we're going to go down to right here, add edit scores. We're going to be able to download SAT, PSAT scores in there. So when we start looking at, there's a way of graphing your GPA and your PSAT and eventually SAT scores on a graph with data from previous students from Wareham that have been there to see how they fared at some of these colleges and whether or not it's a stretch school, a realistic school, or a safety school for them. It's going to take us a year to gather some information from this class, so next year's class will really benefit from it because there'll be information on those histograms. So I can email by sending messages. The nice thing about the emailing component of this, I can email students only, parents only, students and parents. If I have a scholarship that's available for top 10 students in the class, I can separate it out and do it for top 10 students. If it's a scholarship for somebody of a particular race or gender, I can narrow the emails down that way and send them out to only those people. Okay, so college search. We have a college lookup, so if you have a school that you want to look at, go to college search first. If you have a particular school with college lookup, you just type the name of the school in and the school pops up. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a search, and this is what we're going to have our juniors start with when we do our college workshops with them. So we're going to start with school type, and we're going to go and do a general search like we do for the typical student. A 4-year college. Private or public, I'm going to leave it no preference. We're going to click co-ed, and size of the town or community that it's in, not size of the school, we'll say anything but a large city just to narrow this down. There's about, I believe, 4,000 schools in this program. If you get too general, you'll get a lot of schools. If you get too specific, you'll get 0 schools. So you have to kind of be a little realistic about what you're looking at. If religious affiliation with a college is important, you can click that off right here.
Quick
Steve,
question.
1 second.
Yes.
Where's the data being fed from for the school data? How is it updated, and where does that college data come from?
That's a good question. When I finish the search, I'm going to get to that page, and you're
Okay,
going to
great.
see.
Sorry.
You can't see the histogram because there's no information there. It'll be blank, but you'll see how where it is and how they can compare themselves against. They have 2 ways. They have a way of comparing themselves against Wareham High School students and how they fared over the last few years, and then they have the admissions page where they can compare themselves against the freshman class at that college right now.
Okay. Okay. I'll ask my question when you get there.
So I'm going to skip the religious affiliation for now because most of our students, that's not high on their list. You can do a search by range. You can say, within so many miles of this area code, or you can do it in a region or a state. Let's just click Massachusetts for now. And
How do you know religious affiliation is not high on their list?
most of the students that I've talked to in the last year and a quarter that I've been here have said that that's not a priority. I think I've had maybe 2 students so far that have said that that is a must for them as far as college goes. And when I talk with them about it, I tell them that's their choice.
Of course.
It's their choice. Enrollment size. We're going to go with the average size colleges to start. And that's that range right there. Let's go a little bit bigger because some of our smaller schools are getting a little bit bigger now. Bridgewater State is now the 2nd largest public school in Massachusetts behind UMass Amherst. It's 9,000 people, almost 10,000 people with the graduate program.
Wow.
Yeah. But they still have the small school environment there. Minority background. For now, I'm going to leave that blank. There's a way to sort the search later on by minority backgrounds. Residency and % male and female, I'm going to skip those for now. And % accepted, that's usually the first sort I do once I get the final list of schools. Sports. This is if it's an absolute must that you play at the NCAA level. If you'd be perfectly happy tossing a ball around with your friend outside the dorm, I always tell them don't do that because, for example, BU eliminated their football program a few years back. If you just like tossing the ball and playing in the backyard, and you click football, BU would never show up in the search because they don't have a football program there. And then the major. So we'll type in something general. And you can add as many of these different descriptions of business as you would like to. I'm just going to go with general business right now.
Can I ask, is there a quick search on this too? Or does the student have to go through all of these and check all these fields before a search comes up? You know, when you're searching for a job, you can go through the advanced search, or you can say, I want to go in Massachusetts.
There's no quick search. I mean, other than just having the whole list of schools show up on there, there's no way of just kind of.
There's no way to narrow it to 4 or 5 fields, boom, 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 and then looking at the schools.
But
No,
isn't it?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but isn't it fair to say if you filled out one field like cost,
Yeah.
and then hit search?
Yep, you can certainly do that.
So each time you fill out a field, you
Mhm.
narrow the number of schools.
Yes, you can always. The nice thing about the program is you can save the searches you do. So I've had students in the past do a local search, and then they do a search because they have family out in Colorado and they want to do a Colorado search also. I've had students go in and edit their searches. They add a subject, a topic, they take a topic out. So there are ways of editing it, but initially, unless you know exactly what you're looking for, you got to kind of go through this the first time.
Yeah, and I understand that. It's more they have to go through all the pages before they get search. So they can if they just want one field, I want all the schools in Massachusetts.
Yes, you can just go right to Massachusetts, click on it, and hit search, and it'll bring up all
There
the
is search
schools.
at the bottom
Yes.
of each page.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I thought was true.
Okay.
But
It'll
you're
say
right.
show Mass.
Yeah, I
Might not
can't
have
see that.
been.
Yeah.
Right. If it's not, then.
Yeah, you're right.
The tuition, so the in-state tuition, out-of-state tuition, I always advise the students to leave the financial piece alone until after they go through the financial aid process. Finances are certainly a very important aspect to this, and probably going to be one of the final decision makers in the end. Whether it's here in Wareham or any other school that I've been at, I always see students either rule college out or rule an expensive school out because they just think that I can never afford to go there. And we have students here that can get all kinds of financial aid, merit aid for the performance in the classroom here. And I really would hate for them not to get into a school and possibly get enough guaranteed money that would cost so they can go to a BC for what it would cost to go to a Bridgewater State. Was there a question?
Back in the last century,
Yes.
When I went to school, there were places that were known for, if you get in, we'll make sure that somehow you can afford to be there. Work, scholarships, whatever, we won't deny anybody, and we'll figure out a way for you to pay it. Is that still true?
I'm not an expert in financial aid. I don't think any guidance counselor is. That's why we always call in an expert to do our financial aid nights. What I can tell you is usually the majority of financial aid these days is low-interest student loans, not free money. A lot of it comes in the form of work study, so the money's put aside for you, but you have to work on campus to get the money. And sometimes, I mean, some of those work study jobs are great if you don't have a car and you don't want to have to go out at night and stuff like that, or during the day. Other times, if you do have those options, you can make more money off campus than you can on campus. A lot of those will find a way to keep you here are also contingent now on maintaining a certain grade point average.
Jeff, I think maybe to answer your question a little bit more, the EOC, which we talked about, they come in 2 days a week, and basically their area of expertise is financial aid and narrowing down the awards that the students receive and trying to put that into dollars and cents so the kids understand what they're getting involved in. And they're really the experts in the area of financial aid. Stephen talked about we bring people in for guest speakers for financial aid night for the parents, but really it's the people that are there on Tuesday and Thursday that work with Stephen. This is the grant that Stephen talked about earlier. They're the people that really can help these kids because they're involved in pretty much their area of expertise is financial aid and the application process. So I feel moving forward that our kids are going to have that information, and I agree with Stephen that maybe in the past that was kind of a practice, but I think now it's all loans.
And the people from the grant program have also guaranteed me that in second semester when the financial aid process begins, they're going to be doing evening sessions for parents to come in, and they will sit down with them and help them fill out the FAFSA form and the profile, CSS profile. So they're definitely committed to that. The next page is special programs such as ROTC and then clubs and activities. Again, I tell the students to be careful with this, because if you check off something on here, and not every school has a, an orchestra, let's say, okay, or a television station, you'll have 0 matches. So if it's something that they absolutely want to do, yeah, check it off. If it's not, leave that blank and find out when you visit the school what's there to do off campus also. Are there activities that you can sign up for in the community? So we're going to show the matches now, and I believe we have 4 of them. We have 4, and you can see Bridgewater State, Framingham State, Western New England College, and Westfield State meet the criteria that you can see right over here. And now we go to % accepted, and it's going to put it in order. And you can see the state colleges are similar. Westfield being the easiest to get into, and then Western New England is, Westfield being, Western New England being the easiest to get into, and the state college is fairly consistent. And this is what usually will happen. And I was a little specific on this search, but if I put in more criteria as far as states go and locations, like a lot of students do, we probably have a list of anywhere from 20 to 30. And then what we can do with this % accepted is I can take a highlighter and I can mark the areas that I feel are very, very realistic, and those are the ones that they have an excellent chance of getting into. Anything above would be more of a stretch, anything below would be a safety school. And that's how they begin their college search. And then what the process is, if you click pick, over here in the left-hand column, it'll add it to their specific college list, and then they can start evaluating the school, and they can take it off their list or keep it on the list, and they can rank them, first choice, second choice, not interested, things of that sort. But we're going to go on to, we'll go to Bridgewater, since they're our neighbors, and we'll take a look at what we have here and how they access the information here. So the first page is general contact information, and then it tells you what the application deadlines are. You can see regular decision is February 15th. And then down below tells you a little bit about the school. It's a public school, 9,000 undergraduates, small town, and then it gives you the testing codes. Oops. The admissions button is usually where I go next, and this is the information usually from their most recent freshman class. So if you look under testing over here, you can see that the SAT ones, which is the reasoning test, are required, or they can take the ACTs if they choose to take the ACTs. The essay is required, recommendations are recommended. Sometimes they have a little bit more in their subject tests, sometimes they're in there. So you can tell exactly what testing you need to go through. One of the biggest mistakes students make is they think more testing is better, and they take subject tests, and the colleges then say, we want to see every test that you took, and College Board sends one score report in that case, and now all of a sudden their SATs looking good up here, their subject tests, which they just took because they thought, well, I'll just take as many tests as I can, are detracting from the other scores. So this gives them a better idea of what they actually need to send to the college. Over here in the test score ranges, you can see the SATs. Down here, you look at the math, the high average is a 560, low average 470, for an average of 515. And then they get the critical reading, 550, 460, 505. So roughly, to get into Bridgewater State, you need to have 1,000 SAT score and a 3.0 grade point average on our scale, which would be around an 80 or so. So between this information right here, you get a sense of what the college is looking for. When we go back to the histogram, this is what the histogram looks like, and it has GPA and either SAT converted to PSAT converted to SAT or SAT. We have it for SATs right now. What will happen is the student will be placed on here, plotted on here with a red circle, and that's going to be based on their current GPA and their test scores. You'll see green boxes, which are acceptances, blue diamonds, which are wait lists, and red X's, which are rejections. So if you're clearly surrounded by green boxes, it's a safe bet you're going to get into that school, because Wareham, it's just Wareham students now. The Wareham students that have applied there have done very well and have gotten in. If you're on that line or in the blue diamond area, depending on the competitiveness of the pool that year, it may be more of a stretch school. If you're surrounded by red X's, then Yeah, if you sign a red X's, then it's a rejection. If you're like way above any of the green boxes, that means it's a safety school for you, that they're probably gonna not even read past the GPA and the SAT scores. So that is, the other stuff in this page is they list extracurricular activities offered at the school, and the costs and the aid, and the programs that they offer, and at what levels they offer them, certificate, associates, bachelor's, master's, PhD. The nice thing is we can keep our students on this long after they graduate, which will be nice for contacting them for information, how they're doing and what they're doing. And it's a nice service to them. If they just change their mind to what they want to do, they can always come back here to this site and they can do their searching. That is the nuts and bolts of the college search piece. Any questions about that part?
None, Rachel?
It's a lot of information to take in at once. I usually do this in 2 workshops for our students.
The only question I had was if it was accessible at home, and you just answered that. So,
Yeah.
no, that's actually really neat. It's a neat program, and it's going to be, I know, used in my household in a couple of years.
I think it's a great tool for students that are looking for colleges and applying, and my question is, who is responsible? What company is it? This company that provides the website that is responsible for the content in it? Because college content, everything from what activities that they provide to the tuition, I'm sure it changes on a minute-by-minute basis. So is the company that we're buying this from, are they responsible for the college content, what is displayed?
The company contacts all the colleges that are a part of this program every year for updated information. But it's up to the colleges to provide them with that updated information. When I ask them about their success rate with that, he goes, on occasion we find one that doesn't give it. He goes, but the majority of them, he goes, and I can tell you from my experience, admissions people don't miss a beat. These are marketers. These are people that would do very well in the business world. They know the importance of getting the word and getting the name out, and it's just as competitive for them to get the right students into their colleges as it is for any business to hire the right person.
So this program here of what is there a large percentage of high schools that use this program, and what is the biggest competitor for this type of program? Like when you took a look at this program compared to other programs that are out there.
Bridges is the only other one name recognition that I'm aware of. I've been on the Bridges program. It has similar things, but where Bridges falls very short of going into depth with things. And it's not as user-friendly, and it's also not as pretty as this is. Things don't jump out at you when you're looking at it.
So this is looking to be the leading recruitment tool for colleges out there for high schools to use.
You've got the common application that everything can be sent digitally. We've got transcripts now that these schools are accepting through these programs that are sent digitally. I'm not going to get the phone call that, hey, Johnny's transcripts weren't sent out, because Mr. Goldman can go on, or I can go on and say, well, Johnny sent in a request online through this program for them to be sent out, and they were sent out on November 12th.
Great.
So we're excited about that. And also, Stephen alluded to it earlier, there's an opportunity for, even after they graduate from high school, for them to go back to get the transcript sent to their school. Say they transfer, and this would be kind of a situation where we lost the kid in the shuffle. Now they have to go online to request the transcripts to be sent out. So now, part of our 5-year plan, we know this kid went to such and such a school and transferred in as a junior, so it's going to help us in our tracking as well. And it also will have a current home address and contact number when they move. So this is kind of works in really 3-folds, but the big issue is we're able to meet with our students, give them up-to-the-date information. When we did this back in the day, we had a book this thick that you went through and you kind of cross-reference. Now it's all digital, and the parents can get involved, which is an exciting piece. It can be done at home, and for us, we can monitor graduates a little bit easier than what we talked about in the previous presentation.
It was a while ago, it was 3 years ago when I went through the college application process. So this is connected as much as possible to the college application process, because you have to
Yes.
go on to each individual website and fill out theirs, and so they can, whatever information is in here, they can just shoot it right off to most of the colleges if they have
Letters
an
of
online program.
recommendation would be downloaded digitally. We would have, obviously, because of the tie-in with Power School, we'd have the transcripts. And I'm excited because I don't need to mail these out now. I mean, we mail out hundreds
Yeah.
of transcripts every spring, and you all know the cost of mailing, so.
Right.
This is, yeah, I mean, we are paying more for the program, but we're getting way much more, it's not good English, I apologize for that, but we're getting much more in return for it. This is going to allow us to go virtually paperless with teacher recommendations, counselor recommendations, transcripts. We will be able to post all of our forms electronically on this, so if they need to fill out an activity sheet, they just go right to my documents, they fill it out. They'll be able to save all of their correspondence with colleges there. They'll be able to save their letters, their essays right there. So anything college can be saved right there in that one thing. They just need to go to succeednaviance.com, and anything college related is right there for them.
You're seeing a big smile on my face because,
Yeah.
again, you're talking paperless, and that makes me very, very happy.
Yes, and I will tell you, it's going to take a little bit of time before we go completely paperless. Right now, I'm familiar with it because I've used it for the last several years. My staff is going to be going through training next month, and it's not hard to learn at all. But they're giving us a free training opportunity, so we're going to take advantage of it.
Okay.
We're going to be doing some. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but I will just tell you what else it has on here. Scott mentioned a lot of them already. It's going to be allowed. It's going to allow us to generate all kinds of reports, because now we're going to be able to log who applied to what school, what their grade point average were, what their SATs were, did they get accepted, wait list, rejected, was it an early application acceptance or rejection. So now our students are going to have all kinds of information that we can put on file in our career center. So they can see how our students over the last few years have done at some of these colleges, and it's going to be nice for generating reports and keeping our school profile up to date. So there's a lot of things we can do. It's going to be great for the 5-year follow-up, because what my intention is to send some emails out. I'm not waiting 5 years to find out that these kids have changed their addresses. I'm going to send email reminders out. If you ever change your information, please update your Naviance account so we can contact you. And the email communication, I know we still have an issue with not everybody in town having internet access, but hopefully that will slowly change. But for the ones that do, again, I have already started a monthly guidance newsletter that I am going to send out electronically, in addition to sending out through our advisory teachers to read to their students. So the communication aspect of it is really fantastic too. There's an opportunity to post our scholarships there. One thing I didn't mention before is the parents will have their own access, their own password, and they can access their child's account, and they can do searches themselves also.
Does it have a financial aid calculator on it?
I'm going to have to go back and check. I have not been using Naviance. I didn't use it last year because we didn't have it, and I know they've added all kinds of features. There is a financial aid section on it, as is a link to the Occupational Outlook handbook from the U.S. Department of Labor, which is part of the career search that I want to show you if we have time today.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that that's going to be a huge plus for parents using this, and a big draw for them to use this if there is a financial aid calculator component to it, because most of the college application process, when you go on there and you're filling out the application, they have a whole entire financial aid packet. I know it's specific to each school, but it's one of the decision-making factors when you're looking at each one of the colleges.
I just heard this morning from one of our substitute teachers that he read in USA Today that the colleges are all going to be required to put that financial aid calculator on their websites. Now, I haven't checked it out yet. I just found it out this morning. And as you can see right here, under where it says Bridgewater State, there's always a direct link right to the college, too, to get more information that maybe they're not finding here.
Great.
Any other questions about the search piece?
And just, I want to remind, obviously, people watching that, we understand that not everyone has access to the internet. Stephen has created an area in his suite, if you will, where there are 3 computers. The guidance counselor, Stephen's here very late. Most of the guidance counselors are there very late. and that can be accessed during school hours and after school hours as well. So we're excited about the fact that he has those 3 computers there, and obviously they have internet, and the students can access that any time after school.
Tell me the financial aspect of this service that we're using, providing, etc. How does Naviance make money?
The initial cost, which included the trainings and the initial setup of everything, was, I can't remember, it was somewhere between $3,200 and $3,500.
I think it was 32.
Okay. And then for each year after, the cost, I believe, is about $2,400, and somewhere in that range.
And $2,400 a year gets you unlimited access to everything for not only your staff, but students and parents.
Yes. I don't know if the colleges are contributing from their end or not. They might have a fee to be a part of it.
I believe they have a fee for the colleges to be a member
Right.
as well.
That's certainly reasonable.
Do we have time for a career search, or do you need to move on?
Just quickly, though.
Okay.
Excuse me?
That's
We have a couple more questions.
No,
I'm
finish the
sorry, I thought you...
presentation. No, I mean, you might
Related
answer
to
some of my
college?
questions. Yeah. But go ahead, and I'll ask them at the
Sure.
end if there's time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
This is actually the welcome page. You can see there's no message on there yet, but we haven't introduced it to the students yet. Careers, okay. Personality type. If you're familiar with testing, this is based on Myers-Briggs, Myers-Briggs type indicator. It's the shorter version, thank God. So you can see we have a sample one that's in here. This person is an INTP. There's 16 different personality types. I won't get into that piece, but how we tie it in is when after the student takes this, it gives you a kind of a breakdown of your strengths, your blind spots. For a career to be satisfying, you should include some of this criteria. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to fill out this survey, depending on how fast they go. But this is what you come up with after. You can see on this one, this person may be very interested in communications and media. And then it goes on, very interested for education and training, sports and entertainment, government and law, pretty interested, manufacturing, military, somewhat interested in the arts, and then it goes down to not very interested, which, as you can see there. So what the students can do with this, and this is the piece that's tied to the Occupational Outlook Handbook. But let's say we look over here on, we'll go copywriter. And what it does is it gives you a basic job description of what a copywriter does. And then the knowledge and skill areas one must have: most important skills, most important abilities, and 5 most important areas of knowledge. What tasks and activities a copywriter is involved with over the course of a day, and the wages by state, and they give you the average, high, low, median range of salaries, what the potential is. This is all from the Occupational Outlook Handbook. On the other side here, if you look at the field of study and click on it, oops, jumping around here. It now gives you a list of all the schools in this Naviance program that offer that as a major. So that's another way to do a kind of a quick sort by major. And there's a lot for that. It's a popular major. So that is, it takes longer to do it than I just demonstrated, because you have to fill out the survey piece and everything. But this is something we're going to be starting with our sophomores when we do our sophomore career workshops in March. And I have
take it.
What's that?
Can parents take it?
You'll have a password, why
I know,
not?
right? My kids are going to look on there and go,
Yep.
what is
are these results?
If you'd like, I can give you a brief timeline of implementation, if you'd like.
Please.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, as I said, we've been working to set everything up and get all the information that we need. November is staff training. December and January is going to be the program development. We already have some very good workshops we do with our freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. It's a question of tweaking, and in some cases with the juniors, adding an additional workshop, because I don't want to overload them with too much information and overwhelm them in the process either. So what we're going to do is, January, we're going to start collecting the senior contact information so we can keep in touch with our graduates when they leave. In March, we start our sophomore class workshops. We'll take the Do-What-You-Are piece and explore careers. Later in March, we're going to be doing our junior workshops. And that's the introduction to the college planning process. We're transitioning from the career planning to the college planning. And we'll introduce how to do the actual college search and the criteria, things you should be looking for. And then in April, we're going to start the resume program on here with our freshmen. Now that they've been here for almost a full school year, rather than hitting them their senior year and say, oh, by the way, write down all the things you did since you were a freshman, we're going to have them update that every single year. So by the time they graduate, they're going to have a resume that is going to help them in the college process, or if they choose to go into the world of work, they'll already have their information there. They may tweak it, but it's all there. We may want to include that in our portfolios, our student portfolios also.
Any final questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely should go hand in hand with the portfolios. I mean, you guys have done such a phenomenal job with the portfolio that, I mean, that is basically their resume. I sometimes wish they could take that big book and bring it in. I heard from the student at the NEAS that she brought it in when she had her college interviews and stuff, but just carrying that throughout, I mean, it's an impressive book of work. So any way that can be tied into the resume process. Are you planning on also having a parent introduction to this program, several college-type promotional events throughout the year? I can hear from the student standpoint, but also even getting parents involved in freshman year, thinking about college, getting involved in this program, so not waiting until the process begins and I'll stop. You know,
that was kind of the second step to it. We wanted to get the students involved, but you're right. It's very important to get the parents involved in the process also, and that's something that logistically we're going to have to really kind of figure out how we're going to do. Mrs. Franklin has a program that runs roughly 80-85 minutes for college planning, and it's chock full of important information. I really think that I'm probably going to have to create a second workshop for our junior parents, for our juniors and our parents, and one in school, one at night. So we don't overwhelm them with information, and we can actually demonstrate the program like I did with you tonight. I actually have curriculum that I've already written from my previous school that really we just need to tweak and take one school name off and put the other school name on. So I mean, for the amount of time it's going to take me to do that, I spent more time setting up this than I would be doing that. So it's gonna take some time in planning, but as far as this year goes, I'm not sure we're gonna have any direct parent introduction to it. Certainly, if parents are interested, if I'm meeting with them or if they call, I'll sit down with them and I'll help them out with it and get them on. But it's going to be a lot of work right now just getting the students up and running on this program.
Okay. I mean, I think each time we're talking about this, I'll probably keep asking that. And I mean, I understand that we're just rolling this out. It's very, very important to get the students engaged, but it's I think as important to make sure that the parents are that they buy into this also. So then it really you're able to achieve your goal of making it useful, making it something that they see as a value. And I think that leads into my next question. I see this as a huge benefit during the college application process,
yes,
the planning of college, as well as trying to figure out what career. I'm still struggling a little bit with how it's going to help us with the first part of the presentation, because all throughout it I kept thinking, what's in it for a student? 3 years, they're almost graduating from college, they're getting into the workforce and so does it have any connection with I think about today, once students have a job, there's a couple ways that they keep communicating. There's a couple things that they still need. They need some way to, so LinkedIn was one thing that I mentioned, and another thing that I've seen out of college campuses is that they actually create listservs. So then, whether it's a class or if it's like they kind of bundle it. MIT does this. It's a maybe 5-year class. So then they're all communicating with each other. What are you doing? Do you have any contacts in this industry? I'm looking for this. I have questions about that. So if there is, I'm struggling, and you guys are probably already thinking about this, but constantly, let's just keep thinking about how this is going to be useful. Beyond just the application and the college side, or I think that this is going to be great, but then we're still going to be struggling 5 years ago to have that connection, because there's nothing in it for the students once they get beyond that, even if they do transfer.
I have a solution for that. We're going to have a lottery for the latest Apple product, and if you're up to date on your profile, you win a chance to get the latest Apple product.
As I said earlier, my goal is to contact the students every year through the program, reminding, and I'm going to try to do it. What I'll do with this particular class that's going to be graduating in June is I'm going to remind them over the summer, before they get their college email addresses and they start using their college email addresses, I'm going to remind them to please update Naviance. I'll probably send it out, in August, just before they leave for college. So that's one way. It's not a fail-safe process, but I think we do need to focus on how we can try to continue to get updated information from these students, so we can make sure we have accurate information and we can send out things so we can keep in touch with them.
Yeah, that's why it would just be great if this was, when I saw that there was a tab on careers, I was like, great, it's a search engine, it's a job search engine, or it's connected to something like Monster, or connected to something like Indeed, or so hopefully the company is thinking about that, and they're seeing this as not only something that can be used in high schools, but also as a benefit to alumni associations. I mean, that's the reason why, and there's so many questions in my head about this, because these two presentations are tied together. We just talked about alumni, and now we're talking about this. So it would be great if there was some sort of connection there, so then there is a benefit to students once they've gone beyond what this program is offering to them.
And this company I've been using this program now for probably about 8 years or so, and it's grown leaps and bounds, absolutely leaps and bounds. And I jokingly said one day, I wonder if they're going to try to convert this program, because they keep adding more information, convert this program into a Power School type of program. With the information they're starting to generate and gather. I'm not saying that they're going to, but it just seems like they're trying to create this one system that can do it all. The nice thing about the company is they haven't grown too fast. They haven't grown. They still have excellent customer service. I had to call them yesterday for something. I didn't have to. There was no wait time at all. They're very, very helpful, walking you through the steps of everything. I think they're going to be around for a long time. I have a cousin who's now a sophomore in college. She added me to her list of contacts. She's out in California, and she added me to her list because she had an excellent guidance counselor. I mean, I actually got ideas from him to do things as a guidance counselor. But she added me to the list, so every time he sent out an email about things that were going on, I get an update and see what was going on.
Right. So that's why listservs, I think, are so important, especially with trying to keep in touch with alumni. And I'm sorry, last question. Information flows both ways.
Sorry, too late.
Information flows both ways. We just talked about trying to work with and get help from the Alumni Association to keep engaged with students. Have we talked to them about this program and the registration process and what we're gathering from students to see if there's any additional fields that they would want to add to it?
We haven't, but we certainly can pursue that.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Rachel.
No,
I took up her time.
no.
I have only one concern, and that is we're starting too late. I would like, well, you weren't here, but was it 2 weeks ago we had the second graders?
I was here. I saw you sitting on the...
Right, and I asked every one of them what they wanted to be. And every one of them had an idea. And one little guy literally said, marine biologist. is in 2nd grade. We need to instill great expectations long before freshman year. Now, I'm not saying that a teacher can't instill great expectations and the kid has no idea what that means in terms of a career, but you may not realize this, but I've been planning your time, and Dr. Rabinovich will know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a step-up program from 5th to 6th grade. I think that would be a great opportunity for you to start this and get them thinking about college when they're about to enter the middle school. I want this to be every single Wareham kid, because that message to parents that I read at the beginning of the meeting, the letter actually includes a graph. And the difference between a college education in terms of financial, in terms of unemployment, is just huge. So from the time they move into middle school, I want them thinking about what I want to be and what I have to do in middle school and high school to get there. And so I'd love you to give a speech, a presentation at Step Up in the spring.
It's funny you should say that, Mr. Sweat, because on Monday, all of our sophomores will be going to a college on the sophomore college field trip, and we have debated back and forth when is a good time, and one of the admissions counselors actually said middle school is the time to get these kids into the school, into the colleges, and thinking about the college. So I think you hit it right on the head, that transition time.
And the beauty of Step Up is the parents are there.
Captive audience, absolutely.
Captive audience, you know, you'll be the star event of the whole thing. And
well, we don't want to steal anyone's thunder, but we'll be glad to be there if we're invited.
Absolutely.
You've got months to prepare.
Great. No, I agree with what you're saying. One of the things that my staff hears me all the time is that not we as our department, but we as people don't talk enough about what do you want to do when you grow up and act on it. We don't. You know, and I'm amazed at how many people get to the high school and they haven't even thought about it. They can't even tell you what their parents do for work.
But the key is they may have this idea about what they want to be, but we need to tell them, great, and this is what you need to do to achieve that goal.
Agreed.
And when if they start to think about that in 6th grade, boy, I don't know. If I've still got that goal, am I thinking about dropping out at the same time I'm thinking about being a marine biologist? I don't think so. Anyway, just food for thought for this spring.
Okay, sounds good. Can I answer any other questions?
I think we're all set. Yes?
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I
Good
know
luck
it took
with
up
this
a lot of
program.
time, but I hope it was helpful information for you.
Appreciate it, and keep up the hard work. I know it is hard.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
You sick of seeing me yet?
No, never.
Good. I'm next.
Anyway.
Are you going to talk about the long-term and short-term way that you're going to address this?
Yes, that's the tail end of the...
Well, I'm wondering if perhaps you should say it at the beginning.
I can go to the last 2 slides if that makes it...
Only because I think it will set the tone that you've already come up with a plan to remediate the problem that will be seen.
Sure, and I apologize. The last 2 slides I had to implement after the deadline for this to go out. Unfortunately, when he asked, we were a little tied up last week. But I did get you at least the statistics, so I hope that was helpful.
When are you going to stop using NEASC as an excuse?
It's over now. That's it. That was my last one.
Right, exactly. No, when the report comes out, then he's going to be, oh, kidding.
So I'll get us started here, and I'll talk a little bit as I'm opening this up about some things. I want to thank Jan for working with us as we're trying to be proactive here and move forward to continue to improve our scores. I'll talk about AP first, and I may be going out of order on the slide, but what we were able to do this past year, which we promised you a year ago, was that every teacher would be going to some sort of summer institute. Unfortunately, we had one teacher that had missed the tail end of the school year and was doing some rehabilitation and was not able to go to the summer institute. But other than that, we were able to get every other one there. And this is a week-long summer institute put on by College Board. And I just want to remind you of the great professionals that we have at the high school. They gave up a week of their summer vacation with no compensation to be at this training. So obviously we have some great professionals that are willing to go above and beyond at the high school, and I just want to stress that. So a year ago we came in front of you and talked about the fact that many of the teachers that were teaching AP had not taken a week-long institute. So that was something that we wanted to do right away, and again, I want to thank Jan for helping us out with that. It was, I guess she stepped up, but it was chaotic. Thank you, Jan. It was chaotic because of people's summer schedules. We had people that went to Albany, New York, because they had family, and that's where they were going to be for the summer. We had one person in Vermont. Most of the people were in the Fitchburg area taking the course. Even before that, if I can back up a little bit, we offered AP training during the school year. Those were 1 or 2 day professional development days throughout Massachusetts. A lot of those were a little closer than the Fitchburg area, and we had 5 AP teachers who went to these professional development seminars. And as I said, we had the 6 teachers in the week-long summer institutes. I'm currently, with some help from Jan, negotiating with the WEA president to try and create a draft of a posting for lab time at night. One of the issues that you probably remember at some point in time I talked to you about, it was probably in the spring of last year, is that in my principals group, the South Coast Conference Principals Group, we do all kinds of studies, and we talk about best practice and what different schools are doing, and we try and pick each other's brains and get some good ideas as to how to improve our school. And a lot of things that we enacted in the last year were a result of these conversations, and even sometimes branching out to the MSSAA, our association for principals and administrators. One of the pieces that we really wanted to look at was time on learning for AP courses, and we realized that we do not meet the average time on learning that students taking AP courses meet in the SEC, because a lot of them have what they call kind of power blocks or extended daytime after school or at night. So we're trying to negotiate right now, and we kind of have a model. We're not ready to release it yet, but we have a model that we're going to be proposing to Dr. Rabinovich for the AP teachers to be available for 2 nights per month to supplement classroom instruction time. I know the science teacher is very excited about actually doing some labs at night, because it would give her 2 hours at night to allow these kids to be involved in the lab, where sometimes because of transitions and labs that are used by multiple classrooms, it doesn't always allow for her to have something set up. It may take an hour to set it up, and it may be unrealistic that we can keep that lab set up an hour before the class meets, and then obviously there's some takedown time as well. So this will allow for a lab, so to speak, to be in place. We want to do it from November to April. Obviously after April they're taking the test, and we need some time just to get these negotiations going and have this proposal and find the resources as well as we've talked about.
Could you be specific about the deficiency in time on learning compared to the average?
Yes.
How much are we talking?
Anywhere from, and this is throughout the whole school year, anywhere from 10 to about 35 hours.
So we are 10 to 35 hours short compared to the average, depending on the subject.
This is AP only. AP
no,
only.
But there's obviously different AP subjects.
Right.
So depending on the subject, we're either 10 to 35 hours short compared
for the year.
For the year, compared to the average time on learning throughout the Commonwealth, or
Oh
whatever.
no, this is only the South Coast Conference. So this is
all right, South
geographically close schools, similar demographics
okay,
and size.
but it's a fairly good size.
Right.
So 10 to 35 hours per year, depending on the subject and the school. Obviously.
Because a lot of these schools have extended time where these kids have to stay and participate. In similar to, we're basically really stealing a model that other schools are using. It's
Thank
not,
you. Okay.
It's not, we're not creating something new and cutting edge. This is something that has worked for a lot of other schools.
And it's mostly extended learning time that would get us to those hours. It's
Right.
not that
There's
they have a
only
different
one
schedule.
school.
It's not that they have, it's that to get to those hours, the only thing that we're doing different than other schools is that we're not providing the extended learning time. There's nothing
one
else.
school, and I want to go back on my notes, but I'm fairly confident it's Bourne, that has like what they call a power block. And that's where these kids, 1 out of 7 days the class comes around, and that's where they catch up on this. But to meet the needs of our kids in the school, it would be very tough to recreate a schedule specifically for our AP students because of the Mass Core that we've talked to you about. Obviously, class of 2014 having to graduate out of the Mass Core. So they will probably be looking at changing that and probably going to a version similar to what the other schools are doing, which is either after school or at night.
Bourne currently doesn't, they're not having their, they're not looking at Mass Core?
I think they're class of 2015, I believe, for Bourne. Is that?
If I may, through the chair.
Sure.
All schools in Massachusetts must meet Mass Core by 2014. That's a gimme. So all of the high schools have already ratcheted up their freshman requirements as of last year. That's part of state regulation. So, but we have a very short school day.
Compared to what?
Compared to many other school districts. I mean, I haven't done a comprehensive or
Really?
scientific survey, but in talking to other curriculum administrators and as a former principal talking to principals, we have a shorter school day. As little as 15 minutes to as much as 30, 45 minutes. So that plays out in all kinds of ways. At the same time,
I'm embarrassed that I'm hearing this for the first time. I don't know where I would have heard it before, but just the notion that our school day is 15 to, what'd you say, 40?
Is that at the secondary level, though?
Yes.
15 to 45 minutes shorter
Than some schools.
in the South Coast.
No. I'm talking about in meetings with principals and curriculum administrators across the state. But remember, there are schools that pay for extended time. In other words, it's built into their contract.
You mean the teacher's contract?
Yes.
I understand. That's all has to be negotiated, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just, yes, Barry.
I think before we go any further with this, that the data should be organized into a report for us with examples from which places. You know, this is also the first that I've heard of this, so I want to see.
Then I'm less embarrassed.
But if I can just step back and remind you that these numbers, out of 9 schools, 8 of these schools do it supplementary to the traditional schedule. So I think for what I need to do and what I can control, I can get this done, like from a 6 to 8 time period, once a week, based on what works for the teachers, and making sure that we understand that there are students that take, as you'll see in a few minutes, multiple AP classes. So we're going to try and come up with a way to make sure these kids that take 3 classes are not out for 3 days, 3 nights a week. Maybe it's 2 nights one week and 1 the next, and it's the time is consistent so that they can participate in extracurricular activities, because these AP kids, as you know, are very involved in the school and the school environment, and usually they're involved in extracurricular activities as well.
I completely agree with our superintendent. Let's collect the data so we're
I can do one for the South Coast Conference. It's very easy, and I can get you that.
And I would be interested, and now I'm talking to our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, I'd be interested in the data not only as it applies to the high school, but as it applies to middle and elementary schools as well. Because if there are differences in time on learning, I mean, I know you've done, the block schedule was a major achievement, and that has helped with time on learning.
Yes.
Thank goodness, especially given what I'm hearing now. So whenever you think you can put it on the schedule and we've got it available, I think I would certainly appreciate seeing it, and I assume the rest of my committee would enjoy seeing that as well.
I just don't know, should it stay within the South Coast or should it be statewide?
Well, I think the broader the data is, the more significant it is, yes. So if we can make it for the Commonwealth, if those data exist, that's great. But it's to me, it's a surprise. It's a surprise to our superintendent, and I think we ought to know what we're dealing with here.
Right, and
So,
again, from my standpoint and my small pocket that I pulled, it was more because of what they were doing after school. But certainly we'll take a look to see what the number of minutes per week come out to for the different schools. Moving forward, we're also Dr. Binovich, Mrs. Vitello, and myself. We had an opportunity to meet with a gentleman from the Mass Insights on Education, and we are going to be working on a grant. This grant would provide professional development for all AP teachers in the summer and throughout the year, and it's really cutting edge. And what I'm happiest with is we're going to encourage more students to get involved in AP courses, and at the same time provide the staff with the PD where we're not going to see the dip in scores that one would think when you open that up to a greater pool. I went to a college board presentation at night a few weeks ago, and it was a very interesting study on how successful kids are even when they score a 1 or 2. The percentage of kids that graduate from college in 4 years, the percentage of kids that stay in college, it's a tremendous opportunity, and we want to continue to encourage kids. Now, there may be a little bit of a cost. The numbers may go down just a little bit, like you may see with some of these numbers. But my feeling is our job is to give kids opportunities in school to allow them to excel, and as we talked about earlier, get excited about education. And in the end, as part of we're talking about the 5-year study, is to get these kids to graduate within 4 or 5 years. So this is what we did for the AP scores. Definitely, there's more work to be done, as we'll see in the numbers. And if you have any advice or you hear of anything out there, you all have my email. You know, we are always looking for cutting edge ways to improve the scores. And I think we've done a decent job to give people the PD this year. So, Jan, thank you for that. We're excited about that. And the teachers came back reinvigorated. Of course, a few of them came back saying we need new textbooks because these are outdated. But they really came in with new ideas and new ways to teach the curriculum, to differentiate it, to get kids excited about the AP classes. And I think it's great to do. And I hope that moving forward, hopefully through the Mass Insight, we can make that happen. If for some reason that doesn't pan out, to try and come up with a rotation where maybe we don't have to take the hit all at one time where 6 or 7 teachers are doing the PD, but to try and stagger it so it's a little more cost effective. Like I said, hopefully the grant works out and it's not an issue, and we can provide a ton of professional development for these folks every year and every summer, and really give them the support that they need. So that's the AP. I can pause, Mr. Sweat, and take questions on improvements, or I can go to my SAT improvements and then kind of take questions then, whatever you want.
What's your pleasure? Continue, please.
Okay. The improvement for the SATs is, let me just fix that here. Basically what we did this year was we took a look at our course offerings, and we knew we needed to offer some more electives. And what we did this year was we offered an SAT prep course, and we were excited about this because it hadn't been offered in the past. And when it had been offered, the last time it was offered during the nighttime, and it wasn't a great draw because it wasn't that captive audience. So we have a new course. It's an elective course. It's offered for both semesters. We're utilizing the Princeton Review online program, which is cutting edge and is documented as very successful. Currently, we have 22 juniors that are enrolled, so that's something new. We were never able to offer that. If the kids were to go out and do this on their own, it's about a $700 to $750 for them to go do this on their own through like a Kaplan program. And then there's online versions that they would do at home that are a little bit more cost effective. We also worked with the English teacher and the English department head and the math department head to make sure we were integrating a portion of SAT prep into the curriculum in college math, which is a junior or senior math that the students take, and in English 11. I would like to, and I came before you last year in, I believe, the late fall, and I would like to make the SAT prep a junior year requirement moving forward. I think it's very important. I was lucky enough to go to school on 10 consecutive Saturdays when I was a junior. I was kind of forced to do it, but that's a whole other story. But I did go for 10 Saturdays and did see some improvement from the PSAT to the SAT score. And I know it is a valid course that I'm excited that we have 22 juniors, and I'm hoping that number will increase as we move into the second semester because it is a semesterized course. And I'm hoping that more kids will take advantage of it. It's a tremendous opportunity, and hopefully some parents hear that have some juniors and question their child why they're not enrolled in this class, because it's a great opportunity. And again, moving forward, I'd like to make it a requirement, but it's very tough. It was tough just to find the one teacher that we could tweak to have them available for this course. To do it right, you need a math and an English teacher. Obviously, right now we have an English teacher who's working his tail off to make sure he can cover the math curriculum. But it's an exciting program. There is a cost to it as well, to us as a school system as well. But I think it's money well spent. So that's how we're moving forward.
Any question on the improvement of the SATs?
I'll wait.
The only comment I have is, we test the kids a lot. Rachel's already commented on the fact, and you've gotten some feedback that says, you know, I think it was less testing, more work. It's hard for me to believe, if this is in lieu of, do you consider this time on learning?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
And what exactly are they learning in an SAT prep test course?
It's a lot of remediation of the skills that are on the English and math skills that will be on the test. Test-taking skills, which are going to be very important as they move forward into college. It's definitely time on learning.
So it's in lieu of an elective?
In lieu of an elective, correct. And being that there's no study halls, we've tried to run this in the past. It's always been on the student, the list for courses that they can sign up for, and we've really never been able to run it because of the lack of interest. But being that there's no study halls now, there's a little bit more interest. If it's a requirement, as we learned from the portfolios and a few other classes that we've required over the years, they'll be involved.
I guess I'm sitting here hoping that we can have some data at some point to prove that it's valuable, but I'll defer, obviously, for the moment.
Well, hopefully next year I can sit here in front of you and say, this is one of the reasons why we've improved our SAT scores.
Yeah, I mean, those... Yeah, okay, we'll see. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll go back to the beginning with the data, and we will start off. I do want to mention the art. We have a strong art program, and Mr. Tricker was in my office today, and he wanted to make sure that we had the art program first. So we do have a strong art program, and it's a portfolio AP assessment that gets sent in and gets assessed. As you can see, we had one student who did the studio art drawing portfolio. She received a 4. Moving forward with the art 3D, same score. We had a 4 on the portfolio. And you can see down the bottom as...
Is it the same student?
In this case, yes, it was. And then, but as you'll see in here, we had 2 students in the studio art 2D design, and these were 2 different students, and they both received a 3. And just as we move forward, I just want to recognize that on the bottom I will also include our average, second to last, and the state average as well moving forward. And I tried to give you 6 years worth of data, and obviously you can see if some of these we didn't offer in years past. Moving forward with the biology, we did have an improvement in biology. We went from 1.23 to 2.13. Still, we're off from the state average. And as I've said before, I just use the state average as a guideline. That's not necessarily where we want to be, but that's just to give you a guideline of where the state's at.
Scott, can you stop I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Can you just explain again, what does a grade of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mean?
Basically, the 5 is the highest they can get. All right, they've met all the qualifications on the rubric. The 1 obviously is the lowest. They've met basically one of the areas they've met, and then 2, 3, and 4 would obviously be in the.
So one of them are met in a 1.
Right.
Okay.
Moving forward, we've got calculus, and in here we had 9 students take this course. We had 1 that scored a 5. There was 1 that scored a 3, 1 a 2, and 6 a 1. For the 9 students, our section average was a 1.78. The state average 3.12. English language composition. In this, we had a variety of students, but we did have 1 that scored a 5, 4 that scored a 4, 10 to 3, 14 to 2, and 2 that scored a 1. Our average was 2.61, which was up from a 2.41 the year before. The English literature composition. In this, we had 1 that scored a 5, 2 a 4, 6 scored 3s, 25 scored a 2, and 2 scored a 1. We had 36 kids in 2 classes, but 1 section here, and our average score was a 2.31, which was down from the year before. We also had macro and microeconomics that were offered, and we'll talk about the macro. We had 1 person scored a 3, 1 a 2, 3 a 1. We had 5 students total for a 1.6 section average. We had 11 in the microeconomics. 1 scored a 3, 5 scored a 2, and 5 scored a 1. Our average was a 1.64 for the 11 students that took it.
Can you go back 1 slide,
Yes.
please? So this teacher had 5 students in this class. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct. 5 students that finished the year and took,
So
obviously.
you're suggesting that some kids may have dropped out during the year?
Well, at the beginning of the year, yes. We don't allow students to drop out once we kind of pass that 2-week window in September. But you won't see that on next year's, I promise you now.
Well, I wasn't so much thinking about the cost per student, frankly, because that wasn't where my mind was. My mind was a student-to-teacher ratio of 5 to 1, and their success in learning the material was so relatively poor. That's what just jumps out at me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a normal class could easily have 20 or 25 kids, and this is an extraordinary luxury to dealing with just 5 kids.
Right.
Does this,
Debbie, the micro and macro together, and there's 11 that would sign up.
It's just 5 students.
5, did I see that? I'm sorry, you're right.
It's 1 course. Economics is 1 course, and they have the option of taking 1 or both tests.
Okay, so there were 11 kids in the class, because as you'll see in the next, there were 11 kids that took the next test, so there were 11 in there total. Again, this is last year's data, so
I understand.
I'm a little rusty on the numbers, but as I'll flip here, you'll see that 11 kids took the course. So I believe there was about a dozen kids total, and as Debbie said, they can choose.
I'm sorry, it's 11 students. That's an error on that 5, I think.
I think 5 chose to take the micro, though, and 11 chose to the macro, and 11 chose to take the micro. So they have to take 1 test. They have to sign. That's part of a prerequisite for the AP enrollment.
so the course consisted of both micro and macro,
Correct.
and there were 11 kids, and it could have been more than 11.
I think there were
Could have
12.
been-
I think
Could have
so.
been 16, but there were 12.
Yeah, I think some took both tests. I think
Some
there were
took
12.
both, okay.
Yeah. But I will promise you, a year from now, when we give you the numbers, I believe everything is at the least 10 students as we speak right now. So, we offer it on the other end of the spectrum, so I certainly want to continue to offer classes like this to our kids that want to be challenged.
And there is some kind of screening to even take an AP course, correct?
There is prerequisites, there are prerequisites that a student has to meet. Certainly, we try and push kids if they're
Not only
close.
course material, but also success on that course material, correct?
Correct.
Continue, thank you.
Sure. Statistics, we had 5 students that were, and this was a class that was small in nature. I believe they ended with 6 students in the class, and we have 5 that were there to take the test. And obviously, you can see the scores here at 1.3, 1.2, and 3 1s, 1.6 average.
1 second, Scott.
Yes.
Why is such the big drop-off between 2010 and I'm seeing kind of a trend? There's a couple where the students went up in 2011, but most of the number of students that were in the class went down, and especially
enrollment?
that went from 17 to 5.
Yep. Sometimes, well, a couple things. We did increase the prerequisites a little bit. Before I came on board, they were increased, so I'll give Debbie the credit on that. They increased the prerequisites, and also from year to year, it fluctuates. As you see in 2009, in statistics, there were 4 kids that took the test. Sometimes it's a fluctuation, as you'll see with maybe some of the ELA AP courses. The numbers stay a little more consistent. But these numbers, there were a couple years we didn't offer this course in 2007 and 2008.
Thank you.
But to Rhonda's point, fewer kids would normally get you to think that the scores would rise.
Well, I know it's a modest gain, 1.53 to 1.6, but
Go ahead, thank you.
U.S. History, we had 8 students that were involved in this course. We had 1 that scored a 4, 3 that scored 3, 4 that scored a 2, 2.63, which is very comparable to where we were last year. And that was the last AP test that was given this past spring.
Any questions on the, you all set?
I do, if I can, just kind of, if I can give you this slide to show you that we had 74 students that took at least 1 AP test. Many students take multiple tests. Our percentage is 22. Again, we want to try and bolster that and get more in line with the average for the state. And again, the state and the national, the data hasn't come out yet for last year, but I'm sure it'll be very consistent with the 2010 data when it does come out.
If I can, it's been the last 4 years I've been sitting here and being embarrassed when these scores come up, and I think I can say that the high school's not happy with the scores either. But that's why Scott, Debbie, with Jan, worked to get training for these teachers last summer. So the scores you're seeing were before the training.
We understand that. Yeah.
We also are going after this Mass Insight grant because we sat with the gentleman. We looked at inner city districts that had far more students sign up for AP courses and get better scores. And it isn't just the hours of seat time for these people to go for more training. It's also that they send people into the class as a mentor coach that watches them instruct, helps them with it. We have not had that level of training for these instructors. We've also put in over the last few years pre-AP training for our middle school science and math teachers also to help address this issue. So we're well aware of it, but unfortunately some of these things take a while to get into place before you're going to see the scores go up. So, you know, I hate to say it, but the scores are what they are. We have addressed that we should see an increase, and we have further options for more training to ensure that they will go up. So that's where we are with
We even initiated our incentive plan this past year with Best Buy, where we were able to work with them for some gift cards for students that scored 4 or 5. And our hope was that with the seniors who had already been accepted to college, that they would take this test a little bit more seriously because there could be a monetary gain. We did hand out for the seniors, I believe it was $500 worth of gift cards, and we owe the underclassmen, the juniors, I believe, about $400 worth of gift cards as incentives for the 4s and 5s.
Just incentives to take AP courses that are going to help you. I mean, I get that this is what we need.
Take the test seriously. They've done it for years in Texas, and for us it was more...
Did you say in Texas?
Yes.
If I may, it's not only Texas. Many schools in many states have give out incentive awards and monetary awards with the idea that this helps them when they go to college. There is a perception among many students and parents that taking an AP course inflates a transcript and it looks good. So once they've taken the course, they have the transcript results they want. And usually, when they're taking these exams in May, except for the very serious student who is conscious of the fact that a 4 or 5 is going to save his or her parents thousands of dollars on taking the course, they look at the test as an afterthought because they've been accepted at college and they've had the transcript result they wanted. I know it sounds disconnected, but it is the way many of our young people look at this, is that the test is not the important thing after they've been accepted in college.
But of course that's not true for juniors.
Right, but the largest percentage is the senior population taking an AP course.
There's really only one course that juniors take for AP, and that's the English language. The other courses are senior courses. and I will attest to that. I won't mention any students' names, I won't mention the particular tests, but I can tell you that there were several students in a couple of tests that basically just were done in 20 minutes time and just put in a number, or a letter rather, and filled in the...
A few years back, we set the policy that if you're in the class, you have to take the test for the very reason that Jan brought up with bolstering the transcript.
Is there any thought of offering more AP courses in junior year?
We're hoping to do that with bringing back biology next year, bringing in chemistry next year. We're hoping to come up with a rotation where we rotate classes so that they can take them either their junior or senior year, but at some point in time during their 2-year stint as an upperclassman, they would have access to different AP courses. So we're hoping to do that. We brought in environmental science this year. We took a pause on biology. Next year we'll bring back biology and chemistry. So we're trying to bring in courses that some of the underclassmen, some of the juniors rather, could take.
I must tell you, I'm sitting here thinking about this from a financial perspective, meaning I have no idea what the academic impact of senior AP classes is. I've got student to teacher ratios that are extraordinary, and I know you say that's not going to be the case next year, but they're always going to be inherently somewhat better, and we're going to be facing a budget season from hell. Excuse the expression, but that's just, we all know it's true. And I'm just trying to justify senior AP classes in that context.
Like I said, I think when you look at some of the classes that we have on the other end of the spectrum, you'll have similar numbers, and I think it would be, I want to try and encourage the best and the brightest coming through the middle school to come to Wareham High School, and this is kind of that lure to bring them in, is we offer AP courses that other schools, specifically technical schools, may not offer, and so I want to encourage kids not to go to a private school because I can offer them the same opportunities, not to go to that charter school because I can offer them the same opportunities. And I think it would be a disservice to the students in Wareham not to offer these. As I said to you, and I will print this out as just so you can go back and have a copy of where we were at this year. The numbers this year are as far as I'm concerned, are sound. And we didn't run a biology class.
I'm
AP.
sorry, the numbers this year are sound?
Sound as far as when we rationalized whether to offer the class or not based on the number of students. We didn't offer the biology class this year because we only had...
Oh, you mean this year as
right.
compared to last year?
Right.
Got it, okay.
All right, unfortunately, the schedule was dictated in May. But moving forward, we didn't offer biology AP class this year because the numbers weren't there. We wanted to offer the chemistry AP course. We couldn't do it because the numbers weren't there. So there were classes taken off the board, understanding that we've got to at least, in my mind, have as close to a dozen kids as possible in these classes to be able to sit here and validate running those courses. So we did take a look at the numbers. There were 2 classes that came off the board, and unfortunately that's the cost of doing business. But the goal is that if we can cycle those classes in, that they'll have an opportunity at some point in time during their 2-year upperclassman stint to take those courses.
I hear you, but I think Rhonda made a very valid point, and that is, in the junior year, they have an incentive to perform.
Well, and that's my question. Is the incentive, I understand your point that you want to be able to offer AP courses because it's an incentive to keep kids here and
Sure.
not to go someplace else. Is the incentive to offer AP courses in general, or is it the incentive to offer AP courses in their senior year? Because if the incentive is just to offer them AP courses, can we, this is me not being in the school, not being in your position, and not having the background that you do, but if we look at the number of classes that we're offering, does it help us or hurt us if we flip it so we're offering less in senior year than junior year?
Well, they have to have the foundation, whether you call them prerequisites or not. They have to have that foundation, and a lot of times that foundation is established in the junior year based on the courses that they're taking to build up to be ready for the statistics course, to be ready for the different courses. There are some courses that they could take their junior year because they've already taken U.S. History 1, they could take the U.S. AP at that point in time. There's some things that we can certainly encourage students with the help of guidance to get involved in some of the other courses, but most of your courses, because of that building the foundation, the students aren't going to be ready to take it or even eligible to take it until the senior year. But certainly it's something we're going to continue to investigate, because I do think you make a point that the junior year, you have a lot of leverage. And there's a reason why I'm giving out almost as much money to the juniors as I am to the seniors, or gift cards, excuse me, because we do have that leverage. The transcripts haven't been sent out. The college acceptance hasn't been received. And sometimes the rooming assignment is already received before they go to take the test. So we have more leverage, and we understand that.
Thank you. Rachel?
Moving forward with the SAT results for 2011. And I did give you basically the 6 years again. And I also have the state and national scores as well. This is the critical reading score. We're at a 470. From a state standpoint, the average was 513, and national 497. The math scores, we were at a 476 with a state average of 527 and a national average of 514. And I'll go back to when there's questions. I know we're going through this here. The critical writing scores, 455 with a state average of 509 and a national average of 489. And then we had 72% of our seniors take the SAT test. The state average is 84 and the national average is 50. And I can go back to any of the slides that you would like moving forward. I did investigate with Stephen in regards to why we're at the 72% versus the 84. We have had a large percentage of students, the percentage has increased, that have gone on to community colleges over the last few years. And although there's no study that's been formally set, Stephen and the guidance counselors feel that it's very cost effective for our students, for a percentage of our students to take advantage of the opportunities at the community college, specifically with the transfer policies that they offer and the locked-in tuition rate that they offer as well for students that transfer, that graduate with a 2-year degree.
Rachel? Rhonda?
What was the average last year? What was the percentage last year?
I believe it was 78. I believe was the percentage. So that's why I wanted to have a conversation as to why did it go down 6% in the previous year.
I have one other question. Any thought of, I mean, because I'm just looking at Wareham, and you know, for the reasoning it went down 2 points. Same with the math scores went down 2 points, the critical reading scores went down 2 points, and then critical writing, it was a huge jump.
Right.
Huge drop.
A huge drop.
Mm-hmm.
Jump backwards. Jump
yes,
down.
Yes,
jump.
And you know, that was a surprise to us all, because I mean, we've got you know, there's writing done across the curriculum. It's not just something that we focus on in ELA classes. We had a nice jump of 9 points from 2009 to 2010, and now we're within 7 points of where we were in 2009. But again, and we're hoping that and this was kind of the reasoning why last year I really wanted to implement that SAT prep requirement, because I think it's so important for these kids to get the skills and also understand how to test.
So you're saying that you think one of the reasons for the drop is that we didn't have the prep available?
I don't. Well, we probably would have scored. You know, we would have been a little closer to the 471. But again, we didn't offer for the 2010. We didn't offer the SAT prep as an elective, so that wasn't the reason why it went up, and I don't think it's the reason necessarily why it went down as far as it did. But certainly it would have helped. But I don't think that class by itself with 24 kids would have brought that a critical writing score up to a 471 or above.
Okay.
I confess I'm sitting here thinking that with respect to AP, it's hard for me to believe that, although I'm not saying professional development can't be important, it's hard for me to believe that a week or two in the summer is going to suddenly transform the results that we're seeing. I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing it. I'm just saying it's got to be more than a week or two of professional development to really have the kind of impact that I know that you want. And when I look at these data, it's hard for me to believe that a course on how to take a test is necessarily going to produce significantly better writing skills.
Right.
I mean, it just
There's more to it than just
there's
the
got to
test,
be more
just the
to it
cost.
than that.
It includes, I think the exciting thing about the AP as well as, the pre-AP is a little bit different, but the AP training is what this program does is brings teachers together on Tufts campus in the summer, and they allocate a portion of their grants, a very large portion of the grants, to high-needs districts. And to bring in teachers to how to motivate students who may not have the highest expectations. And so that
You're talking about kids taking AP?
Kids taking AP.
So they've signed up for AP, but they're not motivated.
Well, I think the evidence is in the test. They're motivated to the point of inflating a transcript, but not motivated to the point of doing their best they can on a test. So it's a combination of motivation, engagement, and instructional strategies, so that they have this group of teachers who work together for 2 concentrated weeks during the summer, and then other times during the year. But what made the real difference and made the opportunity look even more inviting to the 3 of us when we met with Mr. Smolensky was that this is just the beginning, that training in the summer. Then they bring in coaches who work with the teachers, who visit and observe the classroom, and they build this collaboration among AP teachers across the state so that they're sharing lessons and they are continuing to improve their instructional strategies, their toolbox, so to speak, as they bring up students' achievement.
Do we have a junior ELA AP, correct?
Right.
And we have a senior ELA?
Yes.
And how do those scores compare?
They're very close, actually. And those 2 classes have been the most consistent.
So if they're very close, and the juniors should be motivated to do well on the test, and the seniors, you're asserting, are not motivated to do well on the test, why are the scores close?
I think that there are courses that the students are taking because they really want to. They're very good English students. I think you look at our English MCAS scores, they're also very strong. And we do have a lot of students that take those courses very seriously.
You see the point I'm making. I mean, I understand your motivation issue for seniors. Makes perfect sense. But if that was a key factor, then it would show up in significantly higher junior scores. It's just basic human nature. And since that isn't the case, I have to wonder if motivation is as much of a factor as it would appear. But I don't want to dwell on it, because I don't want to dwell on it for 2 reasons. One is, the most important thing is, you're working on this on a number of fronts, and I respect the fact that you're not sitting there throwing up your hands and saying, I don't know what I can do about this. You're not doing that, and I greatly respect that, and we'll just look forward to the results a year from now.
And the last piece is just they have a site where these teachers actually communicate, and so beyond everything that Jan explained, there's also through their website, there's a lot of educational talk that goes on what's working. So there's that site as well. So there's constant communication, and so I'm excited about it. Ultimately, it's a year away as far as seeing results, but I'm excited about the fact that we had the people involved in the professional development over the summer for the AP. The SAT. I'm confident we're going in the right direction in the AP. The SAT is still a concern because, obviously we're looking at it from a curriculum perspective. We're having conversation with ELA and math department heads in regards to what needs to be done. But the critical writing, obviously, there needs to be more that needs to be done there, and that's something that we're still working on to be able to say that we're confident we're going to make strides in that area. We know, we're hoping it was just an anomaly and it was 1 year that was down and we'll be back up next year, but we need to look at the data and come up with some sound decisions and have a great plan like I think we have for the AP program.
Well,
Go ahead.
and I think when looking at the AP, I mean, the 6 years of data is just very telling. I mean, when you just look at U.S. history, how close we were to the state average in 2006, in 2008, fairly close in 2009, and the gap is just growing. And, you know, I think that to me is taking a look at, you know, what was different during those years. I mean, because the number of students for each one, yeah, it goes up and down, but I don't know how much. I mean, in 2006 you had 16 students and you were above the state average.
Right.
There's a lot of data here, but there's a lot of data here that just looks at in 2011 we're hurting, and what can we do to get back there in 2012?
Again,
I'm
confident with working with the curriculum office that some things that we're going to implement. I'm confident these numbers are going to improve. Again, we're still working on gaining the confidence. We have a plan moving forward with SAT, looking at it from a curriculum standpoint, working with department heads. There's a lot more. There's work for both areas, but certainly we're trying to come up with a plan that we have confidence. We have some ideas moving forward, but we're really working. The Mass Insight is going to be huge for the AP. It's the SAT as well that we need to make sure we focus on.
Problem with the AP is the cohort is so small. I mean, I suspect that those 4 kids in 2006 who got 5s, you know, they were probably great in middle school, you know, and you know it's hard to duplicate, you know, things on that small a number, and yet it has a huge impact on the section average. Anyway, you were going to say something?
5s help out.
There's a question.
Sorry, Rachel.
Just out of curiosity, you know, we're talking about like motivation of students. How does the environment, the economic environment, affect them? I mean, are kids looking at like, well, what does it matter? You know, my father, my mother, whatever, look at their degrees, and they're out of work, they can't find work. I don't know if there's any study, and maybe it's too new, but that's got to affect like that motivational, like, what does it matter?
You know, you can go online on the state, you know, DESI website or the national board, and you can see different towns and how they score. The demographics, they do play a part of it, but I'm not going to sit here and make excuses.
No, I don't, but I think maybe that's maybe where we have to come at it. I mean, I think maybe it's affecting it, maybe it's making it, but that may be where we target.
It's an issue. You know, demographics certainly. I mean, the statistics don't lie. You can go on College Board and see the statistics by town. But to me, I like to focus on things we can control, and I can't control demographics. And
no. I mean, even like you can take demographics out of like the economic state we're in. I mean, pretty much everywhere you know you look, people are hurting, people are out of work, and so it's kind of it's almost a leveling factor in a sense. It's kind of like, oh well, you know, we're just as bad off as people over here too. I mean, everybody's kind of struggling.
To a point, right?
But you know, I can't help but wonder. You know, kids may not be watching the news, or they may not be, you know, following it, but they're hearing it. So it's kind of like one of those things that absorbs into the back of their mind. So it kind of gets to the point, well, I got to take this test. It's supposed to help me with this later on, but what does that really matter? Look at everybody out of work anyway. It may not be even a cognitive thing that they're doing. It's just kind of it's just being fed in, and it's just affecting them. I mean, I just can't help but think that may be a factor that's affecting them after the last couple of years. I don't know.
There's many pieces to the puzzle.
And you're right. I think we always, no matter what, you always should have to you always raise the bar, no matter what.
Right.
You don't accept that you raise the bar, but trying to figure out where those target areas are.
You know, our goal is to get that upward progression, and you know, I think you know, if we can continue to move the scores forward, you know, it creates kind of that environment that I think you're kind of talking about, where you know, if the teacher you know, obviously publicize, hey, our average last year was a 2.63. We want to shoot for 3 this year, and you know, you start to get that the morale going in the classroom. It can get competitive, and you know, and I was hoping the incentives would kind of push the envelope a little bit towards that competitiveness, towards my competitive nature. You know, I'm not saying it was a total flop. You know, we'll probably look at it again this year. But we really, you know, obviously, you know, I'm competitive. I want to get these scores as high as we can, and I want to give our kids, as I've talked to you many times about, every possible advantage when they graduate from high school, so they can get into the competitive college, so they can get the scholarships, financially, whatever it may be, so that when we do the 5-year study, we look back and say that only 10% of the kids didn't make it because of financial reasons, because they all got the scholarships, and only 3% did it because they didn't feel they were prepared as a reason why they couldn't finish in 5 years. And this is a big piece of it. And I know the numbers are a little low, and as I did say, the numbers will improve, but I do want to remind you that, again, there are some other classes on the other end of the spectrum that we're running with low numbers as well. And I think these kids deserve the opportunity to take advanced classes, and I hope you support that. And it's a way for us to continue to get the best kids that we can in this building, and they can set the tone for the other kids. And we're excited about keeping those kids in the school and hopefully attracting more kids as well.
Yeah.
And I know I'm generalizing here, but the students that are taking the AP courses, I know that I can't speak as much to the kids that are taking SAT courses, but the kids that are taking the AP courses, on average, high-performing students have parents that are also involved. Again, generalizing, but that those parents are engaged or committed to their child's education, maybe pushes them towards AP courses. So my question is, how are we engaging parents when it comes to letting them know the importance of taking the AP course, the importance of preparing for it, and the importance of taking the AP course seriously?
Sure.
How are we communicating out to them?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that, because we every year have an AP night for our juniors and seniors to educate them on courses that we're offering, on the importance of taking the AP. We have guidance personnel that are there that talk about what it does to the child's transcript. Obviously, colleges with a 3, but more often a 4 and a 5, will allow that credit to transfer in. So we have kids that could be done a semester early because of the AP courses that they've taken, sometimes almost a year early. So certainly we have the AP night. We have we hit them early with a freshman orientation to talk about things we offer in future years. We use the Global Connect. We send out messages on report cards. We send out, when the report cards either get sent out or mailed out, we always take that time to attach some notes for the parents, whether it be good news or upcoming events. So there's different ways. Again, it's something that we can continue to do a better job with. But I think that's the key is, and I don't think it's necessarily a generalization. I think it's a true statistic, is that a large percentage of those kids, their parents are very much involved in their education, and they understand the importance of this. But it's my job as principal to make sure that we get the word out there on how important this is for these kids. And again, as I talked to you about the study out there, the more kids we can get involved, the better prepared they're going to be for college, and the greater success they're going to have in graduating within 4 or 5 years. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I really wish that Jessica was here tonight, because I would also like to hear from her perspective what's going on when it comes to student motivation, or just from a student perspective, what she's seeing.
I sat down with her yesterday. I know she was planning on being here. Hope everything's okay. But
I'll ask her next time.
She's definitely a good person to talk to. But obviously, she's very involved in the AP courses and the dual enrollment. So I think she'd give you a good read on that.
Okay.
Both of you all set? Anything else, Scott?
No, I think that's it. I appreciate you giving me the last hour for everything that we need to do for the high school. I appreciate that. And I think that's all we have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. We have a gift.
Yes, I'd like to recommend acceptance of gifts from the annual donors of the U.S. flags proudly displayed at the schools in Wareham. I'd like to recommend we accept a gift from Dunkin' Donuts of Wareham, Longhorn Steakhouse, Cub Scout Pack 93, Wareham Onset, Wareham Weekly, Village Soup, Music of the Bay, Wareham Barbershop, Community Mini Storage, and Cool Cone. These donations are through Mr. Bob Long. of the adoptaschoolflagpole.com and franklinflags.com.
And I have met Mr. Bob Long, and he's an enthusiastic flag salesman, and I think I also discovered that those of us who go by Cool Cone all the time, I didn't realize this, but the signal flags that are flying say Cool Cone in signal flag language. So the next time you go by, you'll be aware of that. Can I have a motion to accept this gift?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you very much, Bob, and thank you very much to all those merchants who gave the flags. Is there any other business? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Amen.
Hallelujah.